Special Education in a Remote Setting, Stakeholders Stories and More by Marvin R. Vicente. Since the inception of special education in schools, direct and explicit instruction has been used for learners with autism. Until the global pandemic came in 2020. The health issue has had a profound effect on the education of learners with autism. The pandemic has worsened the situation for almost all education stakeholders. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the United States Department of Education, the impact is felt more acutely in education, as children and adolescents have fewer resources for well-being, mental health, and coping strategies than adults. How much more on the impact on learners with disabilities? The Philippine DepEd has responded to the dilemma created by the pandemic through education guidelines and policies on remote special education. The DepEd Order 12, Series of 2020, also known as Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, and other guidelines, all aim to enable a more effective educational response to the COVID-19 public health emergency. The traditional special education delivered via face-to-face shifted to remote learning. In the case of learners with autism in the local setting, they access special education via blended learning, online and modular. While the provisions for access to special education may be resolved, we cannot guarantee quality when it is at stake. How ready our setting is in relation to the remote delivery of special education. There are loopholes that result in learners with autism remaining marginalized due to insufficient and unequal access to appropriate and unique educational programs and related services capable of meeting the unique needs of learners with autism. The U.S. Department of Education's Return to School Roadmap policy further confirmed how marginalized our Filipino learners with autism are in terms of access to free and appropriate public education, which includes free educational and related services that promote faster child development. Our existing local special education guidelines may be far from ideal compared to the foreign policy's components, such as the strict implementation of individualized education programs, access to rehabilitative support, and specialized services. In the local setting, the majority of parents who utilize public schooling are low-income and unable to afford related services, resulting in insufficient access of their children to necessary social and behavioral interventions and therapies. This study was born out of the predicaments experienced by the special education stakeholders in the local setting. The unprecedented health crisis must drive educational policymakers to conceptualize, craft, and implement policies that address the contextual need for special education delivered via remote learning. We uphold that no crisis should ever have an adverse effect on the quality of special education services. Although the mode of instruction has shifted from face-to-face to home distance, the goal of special education remains the same: to assist learners with autism in reaching their fullest and maximal potential. The central question, what is the essence of the lived experience of special education stakeholders, influenced the objectives of the study, the construction of personal constructs on three aspects of special education: 1. Views on the remote special education phenomenon, 2. Essential special education practices, and 3. Building blocks as potential precursors or input recommendations for policy crafting. This study has a mix of narrative and phenomenological approaches, upholding that the context of remote special education is best seen from the lens or stories of the participants, and the essence or meaning the participants collectively shared about the phenomenon. The study is situated within the indigenous context of the participants' experiences with remote special education during their lockdown or quarantine experience in Cabuyao, Laguna. 3 parents and 3 SPED teachers who have served as home learning facilitators and learning resource providers were invited to participate. Ethical consideration is an integrated component in the data construction part. To facilitate the story and conversation process, a semi-structured interview was employed. The technique enabled the researcher to explore in depth about the phenomenon. The data gathering involved 3 phases. 1. In the pre-interview phase, informed consent was discussed with the participants. The purpose of this also was to establish rapport among our participants. The purpose and procedures for data collection, benefits, risks, nature of their participation, and confidentiality were thoroughly discussed in this phase. 2. The actual interview was the starting point for formal data collection through semi-structured interviews via Zoom. 3. In the post-interview, the participants checked the accuracy of transcribed data. Their approval of the transcript signaled that they were ready for data analysis. George Kelly's construction, and Stuart Hall's textual method, also known as multiple readings, influenced the data analysis. The construal process was divided into 3 parts: 1. Delimiting texts, 2. Multiple readings, and 3. Construct production as the outcome of textual analysis. SPED stakeholders views remote special education as a shared responsibility between the parents and teachers. They believe it allows for continuity of learning access amidst the pandemic and realizing the SPED fundamental goals, helping autism learners to become functional and productive individuals. Although participants have been challenged by remote learning, they suppose it can be a brand new learning environment for learners. To attain these, practical measures must be established, such as parents relearning, upskilling, and building up authority, and teachers integrating ICT in the teaching and learning process.
Good day, this is the research entitled Gender-Sensitive Integration Practices of Select Teachers of Mahadain Integrated School.
Men and women are born equal. In a perfect and ideal world, this assertion works as it will provide opportunities regardless of gender. UNESCO highlighted that equipping girls and boys, women and men with knowledge, values, attitudes, and skills to tackle gender disparities is a precondition to building a sustainable future for all. This is made possible in the country as laws Magna Carta for Women or RA 9719. The Department of Education, through its mission of delivering quality basic education, ascertains that it will ensure that students learn in a child-friendly, gender-sensitive, safe, and motivating environment. As guiding principle, DepEd issued Order Number 32, Series of 2017, or the Gender-Responsive Basic Education Policy, from which DepEd asserted that it commits to integrate the principles of gender equality, gender equity, gender sensitivity, non-discrimination, and human rights in the provision and governance of basic education. The study aims to investigate these practices as different awareness campaigns have been implemented in the school. This research aims to answer the following questions. What are the practices employed by the teachers in integrating gender sensitivity in their respective classes in terms of language, conducted activities, materials, assessment? What is the teacher's perception of gender sensitivity in teaching? What are the best practices employed by the teachers in integrating gender sensitivity in their respective classes?
The study has been participated by select teachers of Mahadain Integrated School. The participants composed primarily of 27 teachers who are selected by the researchers through purposive sampling and be part of the study. The proponents asked each teacher responded to answer survey questionnaire which was distributed electronically and were asked to answer writing prompts on how they integrated gender-sensitive practices inside the classroom.
With such, the following are the answers to the research question. For research question number 1 shows that terms of language, 51.9% of the teacher respondents describe themselves as very satisfactory, or statement describes them very fairly as shown in the pie graph. The data indicates that teachers are aware on the use of gender-sensitive language and expressions in their instructions. These include the use of gender-fair language in their instructions and learning materials that deliver content to the students. Number 2, in terms of conducted activities, 44.4% of the teachers describe themselves to often actively encourage students to engage in activities that promote gender and equality. These activities conducted allows for the implementation of gender-fair games and activities that allow for the performance of roles that are not gender-biased. For individual, pair, and group activities, learners are provided opportunities to participate regardless of gender. In terms of materials, teachers are using 44.4% of the teachers answered that they ensure that instructional materials they use include values and attitudes that promote gender equality and gender sensitivity. Since 2017, the teachers have been made aware of the different ways on how to integrate gender equality and sensitivity in their instructions, and through the effort of the researchers and through the implementation of the GAD focal point system, the teachers have been very consistent in improving their plans and instructional materials which are integrated with gender-sensitive practices. And in terms of assessment, 44.4% of the respondents describe themselves as very satisfactory in terms of using objective criteria and evaluation of student performance. This is very critical in student evaluation since it allows for the presentation of an objective criteria in evaluating student performance which delimits the biases in scoring or rating the student's performance. Second research question, the answers include Number 1, it provides students with equal opportunities for class participation regardless of gender. It accepts and treats all students in class without biases, especially in terms of gender, and shows genuine respect for the gender preferences of the students. And it creates a classroom environment that supports equal opportunities for all students regardless of gender. In terms of best practices, before instruction, teachers highlighted, plan their instructions carefully and deliver instructions with emphasis on integrating gender sensitivity in their instructions that are manifested in their weekly learning plans. On top of that, in designing their material, they give much importance to the gender-fair language in all preparations of the plan, materials, and assessment. During the instruction, teacher responses include a variety of strategies in executing the lesson plan with much focus on gender-fair activities that allow the participation of all students regardless of gender. Group collaboration and activities are some of the activities that the teachers are fond of implementing, with much emphasis on putting the responsibilities to leadership, whether it's male or female. And after the instruction, as part of the instructions, assessments are implemented in the gender-fair way by ensuring that the instructions and way of evaluating are free from any bias and discrimination.
Banlik Elementary School continuously creates, collaborates, and achieves educational success. Meet our team, headed by our school principal, Mr. Virgilio D. Carmona. Joy Sendrabor as team leader. Dina A. Basco, scribe and documentation. Digna A. Monhardin, process observer. Emily S. Mustacho, process owner. With our CI, Project Heart, helping learners engage in advanced mathematics reasoning techniques. Learning losses due to school closures are one of the biggest global threats of COVID-19. Banlik ES is one of the affected schools. As seen in the written test results, learners did not meet mastery level in mathematics subject. Listening to the voice of the customer, we conducted FGD via Google Meet and made survey questionnaire distributed via Google Forms. The result revealed that the video guides about the lesson were not complete, and most of the parents cannot assist their children in answering the module because they are both working, and some don't have enough knowledge to teach the lesson.
Banlik Elementary School went through a discussion to provide video-based lesson in enhancing mathematical skills. Project Heart offers learners an opportunity to learn mathematical concepts at their convenience. This also serves as a guide in answering self-learning modules, as it gives detailed instructions and examples on different mathematical lessons. It also allows students to replay the video as many times as they need to understand its contents.
Research questions. This research sought answer to the following questions. Number 1. What is the academic performance of the pupil respondents before the integration of the video-based lesson? 2. What is the academic performance of the pupil respondents after the integration of the video-based lesson? 3. Is there a significant increase in the academic performance of the pupil respondents based on the pre-test and post-test results? And 4. What video-based lesson may be proposed in teaching mathematics to grade 4 learners?
Bilang master teacher ng grade 4, isa sa mga gawain namin ay tingnan kung ang mga learning materials tulad ng video lessons na ipoprovide para sa mga bata ay align ang objectives at activities sa MPLC. Kung kaya't bago namin inilabas at ipinapanood sa mga bata ang localized video lessons na nabanggit sa aming project, ito ay sinigurado muna namin tama at akma sa mga bata.
The researcher used the quasi-experimental method. It involves 42 grade 4 pupils of Banlik ES. It utilized the teacher-made test as a tool for gathering and interpreting data. Weighted mean and percentage are the statistical tool used in analyzing the data gathered. The results revealed that there is a 6.64% increase in the academic performance of the respondents. Thus, implies that the video lesson in mathematics are effective in increasing the academic performance of the pupils.
Dahil sa mga video, madali kong naiintindihan ang mga lessons at malaking tulong din sa pagsasagot ko sa aking module.
Magandang guide yung mga videos para madaling maintindihan ng anak ko yung mga lessons niya, lalo na madali siyang matuto kapag may visual aids at visual presentation.
Nakakatuwang marinig at malaman ang mga positibong responses ng mga magulang tungkol sa ibinigay naming intervention na video guide through USB.
Good afternoon. I am Judy May S. Pantoja from Calamba CIty Integrated School. I am about to present with you all the results of this research entitled CBISTB, a contextualized supplemental live online tutorial for learners. And these are the proponents of this study. Yours truly, Dr. Elsa D. Pagulayan, Dr. Cincy Merly B. Hecolea, and Dr. Marian B. Diaz. For introduction and rationale, the COVID-19 health has left a huge impact in the life of people around the world. And according to United Nations 2020, it has impacted 1.6 billion students across the 190 countries and continents. Despite the challenges in the education system, education officials are still very optimistic that this will not stop the organization from providing quality education. So with that, the Department of Education provided different learning modalities and options for distance learning, namely online distance learning, modular distance learning, and TV or radio-based instruction. And since the school already offered MDL and ODL for school year 2021-2022, it will offer more ways to learn by turning SLMs into video lessons and using CBISTV to offer live online tutorials. With this, the school has contextualized a supplementary online tutorial platform for learners and parents facilitated by teachers. It aims to improve the quality of learning in the distance learning setup. It was made based on the weekly most essential learning competencies to make it easier for parents and students to answer self-learning modules. With that, this study was conducted to determine the relationship between the level of observation in the implementation of CBISTV and the level of its assessed effectiveness. For key literature, the study cited Utomo and Ratnawati 2018 and Wiguna 2016. They discussed in their articles that video tutorials show more information offered by a tutor and expands learners' knowledge. Also, Martinez et al. 2019 and Alanis et al. 2019, they both stated in their researches that distance education through the use of information technology can help students develop greater independence, individuality in the learning process. And Masito et al. 2020, he discovered that using video tutorials to guide parents throughout the COVID-19 pandemic era is viable and practical for guiding them while accompanying their children to learn at home, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. And since this study aimed to assess the implementation of CBISTB and to assess its effectiveness, it also determined the relationship between the level of observation in the implementation of CBISTB and the level of its effectiveness. Specifically, it sought to answer the following question. For number 1, what is the teacher's mean level of observation on the implementation of CBISTB? And for number 2, what is the mean level of the assessed effectiveness of CBISTB in terms of A. Assisting learners in the answering learning task, B. Supporting transfer of learning, and C. Increasing students' motivation to study. Number 3. Is there a significant relationship between the level of observation in the implementation of CBISTB and its level of effectiveness? And number 4, based from the findings and reflections, what policy note may be offered to further enhance the implementation of CBISTB? The methodology of this research for sampling, a random sampling technique, was utilized to determine the students' respondents. And the respondents of this study were composed of 258 students at Calamba CIty Integrated School.
A pleasant day to each and everyone. I am Micah Tesoro from SDO Calamba City, and it is my pleasure to present my basic research entitled Virtual Leadership Amid the New Normal in Education, Basis for a Capacity Building Program. For the context and rationale, the digitization of information might have started and developed a long time ago, yet the economic and social crisis due to COVID-19 pandemic have made an unparalleled impact on how organizations keep up. Strong virtual leadership is significant in creating a culture that is productive, innovative, and able to embrace changes and challenges in a remote educational setup. With this, the conduct of this research aimed to assess the virtual leadership of Calamba City Cluster 3 school heads amid the new normal in education. This research was also expected to give light in proposing a capacity building program for teachers and school heads in order to address challenges and at the same time to develop strategies on becoming effective virtual leaders. These are the key literature that greatly help in the pursuance of this research. In the study of Vanguard 2017, he identified areas in which competence and key skills were most important, which included e-communication skills, e-social skills, e-team building skills, e-change management skills, e-technological skills, and e-trustworthiness. Here are the formulated research questions. The study aimed to assess the application of virtual leadership amid the new normal in education among public elementary schools in Calamba City Cluster 3. It specifically sought answers to the following questions. First, what is the level of teachers' perception of their school's virtual leadership based on the following key competencies? Second, what are the challenges or issues do teachers encounter in the virtual leadership of their school heads and how do they cope up with this? Lastly, based on the findings of the study, what program can be proposed? For the methodology, 155 teachers from Calamba Cluster 3 schools served as the teacher respondents. This basic research used sequential explanatory mixed method research design. This includes survey questionnaire on virtual competencies and open-ended question on teachers' challenges and coping mechanisms. The instruments were adopted, validated, and delivered via online using Google Form. Data were gathered, analyzed, and interpreted, and here are the summary of findings. For the level of teachers' perception of their school heads' virtual leadership, it yielded high overall weightedly in all e-competencies, namely e-communication skills, e-social skills, e-team building skills, e-change management skills, e-technological skills, and e-trustworthiness. For sub-problem number 2, it was found out that the challenges that teachers encounter include having poor internet connections, schedule interferences, and poor communication. Lastly, the results reveal that teachers' ways to cope during the trying times include becoming flexible, resourceful, establishing time management, seeking of technical assistance, and becoming more open to communication, changes, and challenges. According to TRIA JZ 2020, New Normal in Education presents a unique challenge to every educational leader's decision-making process. Therefore, virtual leaders need to address these concerns, and he believes that collaboration is the most important during these difficult times. In conclusion, Cluster 3 school heads are considered no novice in the field of virtual leadership since it was found out that they possess all the e-competencies. Yet, there are still inevitable challenges that arise on the part of teachers. Henceforth, school heads and teachers need to work hand in hand in strengthening their practices and values. Van Wert et al. 2017 proposed in their study, Operationalizing E-Leadership, that virtual competencies are valid and reliable dimensions of e-leadership. In addition, effective application of them will result in positive outcomes such as higher individual productivity and higher employee satisfaction. Hence, in this study, the following recommendations are drawn and can serve as basis in developing capacity building program for school heads and teachers. First, each school, through Learning Action Cell and SDO Human Resource Development Unit, should initiate trainings focusing on effective communication protocols and proper time management practices considering virtual setup.
Hello and good day, everyone. I am Oscar De Liva, together with Miss Rosemary Alcala and Jasmine Martirez. We are here to share with you our research entitled Integrated Performance-Based Assessment, Its Effectiveness to Distance Teaching and Learning. To share its rationale, research questions, and key literature, here is Miss Alcala.
The COVID-19 pandemic brought challenges in primary education, particularly in the assessment field. Because of this pandemic requires innovative and creative ways of assessing learning progress effectively under adverse circumstances. Consistent with DO number 31 series 2020, teachers are encouraged to collaboratively craft and implement PBA that integrates two or more competencies within or across disciplines or subject area. Because of this, teachers amidst pandemic should think of assessment approaches so that learners will not be overwhelmed with assessment tasks. Three research questions were investigated in this study. First, how do teachers assess their students in terms of content and performance standards? Do they assess within and across discipline? Second, how integrative performance-based assessment and effective assessment? And third, how does integrative performance-based assessment contribute to effective distance teaching and learning? One of the general characteristics of a performance task that is authentic and appropriate to learning targets is that it should be integrative with other disciplines and with 21st century skills. Students are motivated and in a positively emotional state to carry out the performance-based assessment based on Cone 2015. For this reason, students will benefit more from performance-based assessment, and it will indeed ensure effective learning happens.
For our methodology, a descriptive qualitative study was used as the research design. Key Stage 2 pupils and teachers of two schools of SDO Calamba City in the academic year 2021-2022 were chosen to be the participants and locale of the study. 15 public school teachers handling intermediate pupils were selected using the purposive sampling. There were two sources of data extracted from teacher and learner participants. The first is the learner's journal, wherein reflections and learning were written after the performance task. After the learners completed their task, the teachers were asked to respond to a series of open-ended questions. And here are the findings. First is teachers assess pupils within and across disciplines to make connections between ideas and concepts across different fields. This assessment is favorable, useful, and valuable. IPBA is effective for their learners. They shared that their talent and skills were also shown, and it lessens the burden of the learners in answering different subject areas. Other findings are learners from MDL needs more support and attention. Learners from ODL are easier to assess as they have the knowledge in utilizing technology. In here, you can easily monitor, guide, and assist your pupils. Student participants mentioned that mas madaling gawin ang mga gawain kung ito ay magkakasama. To share about its implication and recommendation, here is Ms. Martirez.
Implications: the use of appropriate integrative performance-based assessment tool engenders effective teaching and learning. The critical point is that teaching materials for integrative performance-based assessment must be developed. This study can supplement the DepEd's policy in relation to integrative assessment. Recommendations: IPBA have the potential to minimize the number of assessments, easing the burden on both teachers and learners. In addition, it can also provide learners opportunities to explore and acquire concrete learning that they use in real-life situations, knowing that this assessment is more on performing tasks than target competencies and skills. As participants have demonstrated that this assessment approach is effective, the DepEd should support teachers by developing, crafting, or localizing a teaching material in relation to IPBA tasks in response to the challenges encountered by the participants.
And that concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. I am Ms. Joandy Saavedra, together with Mr. Jerwel B. Canceran and Mrs. Victorina D. Palanas, and we will be presenting our research entitled Revalidation of the Developed Learning Material in Analytic Geometry and Trigonometry in IDEA format. Elective mathematics has been an extra mathematics subject for pilot students of Eduardo Barreto Senior National High School for quite some time now. And through this, many alumni testified how this helped them in understanding senior high school and college math. However, the teachers have been also struggling with the resources for specific areas such as business math, statistics, analytic geometry, trigonometry, and calculus. The development of contextualized learning material aligned with the most essential learning competencies is indeed a blessing in disguise when the pandemic started to affect education in the Philippines. In an article DepEd launches on February 6, 2020, Pivot for a Cube program, true to its mantra, excellence is a culture and quality is a commitment. The Department of Education Region 4A Calabarzon has launched Calabarzon Pivot for a Cube, its flagship program in support to the Sulong Edukalidad. The program aims to improve quality of basic education in Southern Tagalog. In line with this, the development of learning material is one of the ways to adhere to its goals even in these trying times. The integration of Pivot for a Cube IDEA was made to better facilitate students' understanding of analytic geometry and trigonometry. This study aimed to revalidate the developed learning material in analytic geometry and trigonometry in IDEA format that can help serve as the primary reference of elective mathematics teachers of Eduardo Barreto Senior National High School. This study aims to revalidate the developed learning material in analytic geometry and trigonometry in IDEA format. Specifically, it aims to seek answers to the following questions. What is the participants' evaluation on the content of the learning material in terms of topics, objectives, concept, directions, and activities? What is the perception of the participants in the format of the learning material in terms of print, illustrations, and design and layout? Based on the findings of the study, what enhancement can be made to improve the learning material?
For the methodology of our study, this study used a descriptive quantitative research design. The learning material in analytic geometry and trigonometry, anchored on Pivot for a Cube ideas, was revalidated by the mathematics teachers of Eduardo Barreto Senior National High School and the expert from SDO Calamba City. The 4-point Likert scale and the mean were used to determine and analyze the participants' evaluation of the learning material in terms of the content and format. The participants of the study were mathematics teachers of Eduardo Barreto Senior National High School and expert from SDO Calamba City. Purposive sampling was used as the sampling method. The researchers used a survey questionnaire with a 4-point Likert scale to determine the participants' evaluation of the developed learning material in analytic geometry and trigonometry in IDEA format. The first part of the questionnaire seeks to evaluate the content of the learning material in terms of topics, objectives, concepts, directions, and activities. The second part seeks to evaluate the format of the learning material in terms of print, illustrations, design, and layout. The researchers sent a letter to the school head of the Eduardo Barreto Senior National High School and division superintendent to ask permission in conducting this study. The distribution and retrieval of the data and questionnaires needed for this study were given enough time to complete. The study's goal and the questionnaire substance were communicated in detail by the researchers, who made every effort to do so. All information was then collected, analyzed, and interpreted. And For our data analysis procedure, the mean and the 4-point Likert scale were applied to assess the participants' evaluation of the content and format of the developed learning material in analytic geometry and trigonometry in IDEA format. The result was interpreted as follows. 3.5 to 4, very satisfactory. 2.5 to 3.49, satisfactory. 1.5 to 2.49, fair. And 1 to 1.49.
Good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Jester C. Nicodemus, together with Charlene Ley Oesguera and Mr. Justin Bic R. Lampas, here to present to you our research study on qualitative exploration of the recruitment, selection, and placement system in selected schools division offices in DepEd Region 4A, Calabarzon during the COVID-19 pandemic. Recruitment and selection is one of the basic functions of human resource management. There is a clear distinction between recruitment and selection. Walker, along with his colleagues, explained that recruitment is the process of attracting a large pool of qualified people for employment. There is a need to ensure that right people are hired. Berry, along with his colleagues, observed that there is a conscious effort by educational agencies and institutions to recruit qualified and professional teachers since they have a direct influence on the learning outcomes of the educational process. The current COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the education system, creating a new environment for various members of the community. The normal setup of face-to-face interaction specifically for recruiting and selecting applicants is currently prohibited. With the physical distancing and community quarantine being among the measures to contain COVID-19, applicants find it difficult to search for jobs, update and submit required documents for their applications. Such critical conditions prohibits the usual face-to-face procedure that is usually done in a hiring process. This study resulted to 3 emerging themes. Number 1, delayed in the hiring process due to change in procedures. Number 2, conducted adjustment in the hiring process. And number 3, utilized online and digital technology to improve services. For the first theme, most of the respondents revealed that the most common problem that they have encountered during the COVID-19 is the delay of the process because of the restrictions set by the IATF, like submission of needed documents of the applicants. Secondly, hard to fill items due to licenses and not coming up with the requirements of the OSC scholars and duration of release of authenticated licenses. Even the evaluation of documents and scheduling of interviews for applicants is delayed due to the existing IATF guidelines. For the second theme, the schools division offices made some changes in the procedures of the hiring process, like providing online platforms for various activities for submission of documents and even the conduct of interviews and demonstration teaching. Secondly, the respondents also recalled that they intensified their communication and time management practices with their members and applicants as well. For the third theme, the respondents enumerated the best practices of their schools division, like using various online platforms for communicating with members and applicants. Lastly, evaluating the papers of the applicants using scanned copies and/or digital or soft copies of their document. For the conclusion, the hiring process of the selected schools division offices in DepEd Region 4A Calabarzon has been really challenging during the COVID-19 pandemic. Various procedures like document submission, conduct of interviews, and demonstration teaching. The guidelines of the Interagency Task Force have presented many restrictions and changes to our daily routines and delays in terms of hiring personnel. But such changes helps us prevent to be exposed to the COVID-19 disease and ensures our safety while attending to our duties and responsibilities. For the recommendations, the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic and with the restrictions that comes along with it does not hinder the people of the Department of Education to perform what is needed and essential to the Bureau. Hiring and selecting the right people to help us achieve the department's mission and vision. The Schools Division Offices of DepEd Region 4A Calabarzon made adjustments in their hiring process. They need to continue to utilize various online and digitized platforms to better serve their clientele and even their future personnel. This ends our presentation. Thank you very much for watching.
Good day, everybody. My name is Catherine Taboso, and together with my co-researcher, Ms. Ravi Cadasio, we are English teachers from Cavite National High School Senior High School from Schools Division of Cavite City. Today, we will present our research investigation entitled Students' Preferences in Learning Literature as Basis for Crafting an Online Culminating Activity. Reading and writing must be taught simultaneously. That's according to Shanahan in 2017. However, for the past 2 years during the global pandemic, there was a shift in the curriculum implementation from classrooms, face-to-face discussions, to online distance learning. With this, students were given limited opportunities to practice their skills in reading and writing. So because of that, me and my co-researcher, we decided to conduct a research investigation on creating or drafting a culminating activity online, taking into consideration our students' preferences. So here are the statement or here are the questions that we take note of in our study. So first, we identified the project objectives. Second and third, we identified the students' preferences in terms of literary genres, literary activities, and the preferred medium of our students in learning literature. In creating our project proposal, our culminating activity, we used Tyler's objective model in 1940, which was revised and improved by Stoffel Beam, Corinne, and Chris in 2014. So here is our theoretical framework, which starts from the objectives, from defining the objectives. Second is for identifying the learning activities to meet the objectives. And then after that, we'll be organizing the activities and, of course, evaluating the program. To determine our respondents' preferences in learning literature, we conducted survey research among 214 UM students in Cavite National High School Senior High School through online Google Forms. The survey questionnaire asked for students' preferred literary genres, types of activities, and media. This guided us in constructing our program proposal for the online culminating activity. Now, to further discuss the results and the implications of these findings, here is Ms. Ravi Cadasio.
After gathering and analyzing data, we have yielded the following results. First are the program objectives, wherein the online culminating activity aims to include reading and writing literature concepts in various competitions, promote the positive use of social media, and involve students and engage them in the activities online. The survey revealed that the UM students' most preferred literary genre is poetry, their most preferred learning activity is poetry writing, and their most preferred medium is text. Based on the MELCs, the Senior High School Curriculum Guides for Creative Writing and 21st Century Literature from the Philippines and the world, and the students' preferences, I and my partner were able to craft learning activities. And these are the following: concrete poetry writing, free verse poetry and meme making, TikTok theater, flashcast, and text teaser trailer. The results implied that identifying students' preferences gives them opportunities to construct their own learning. It also allows teachers to craft lessons and activities that are relevant to students' preferences. But because of limited resources, especially during the past years, students are confined to choosing materials and media that are readily available to them. From the results and implications, we have concluded that students' preferred learning activities are considerably connected to their preferred genre, and their preferred media corresponds to the literary activities they prefer and the availability of resources. Doing a mixed methodology research by combining survey questionnaires and interviews, crafting more relevant activities in reading and writing, and a parallel research for blended culminating activities for face-to-face and ADM students are our recommendations for further research and investigation.
Good day everyone, I am Rupert Legion at Sardinia and I am proudly here to present to you our study about the implementation of the Academic Report Card Information System or RCIS to secondary public schools at School Division Office of Cavite City. For the background of the study, throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the use of the technology has had an increasingly significant impact and has a broad implication for everyone, from the community, business, government, education, and the entire world. Advanced technologies are more pervasive today than they have ever been, and their uses are expanding continually. Since then, the Department of Education, under its DepEd Order No. 14 Series of 2020, has committed to ensuring safe educational continuity amidst the challenges of COVID-19, as well as DepEd Order No. 12 Series of 2020, adoption of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan for school year 2020-2021 in the light of the COVID-19 public health emergency. DepEd shall employ multiple learning delivery modalities to ensure the continued provision of learning opportunities to its learners while protecting the health and safety of both its personnel and learners. This can be done through blended learning, distance learning, and homeschooling. Through the continuation of the teaching and learning process, the learner's progress should be documented and recorded based on the formative assessment submitted to the teacher for instructional decisions. Coordination and communication with the parents or guardians for the periodic feedback on the learner's progress, such as report cards, still must continue. With this, the Cavite National High School Senior High School developed an Academic Report Card Information System or RCIS through the Continuous Improvement Plan during the pandemic. It is a web application designed to enable parents or guardians to access their child's report card anywhere, anytime at their convenience, using cellular phones, laptops, tablets, and desktop onlines, and as well for the school with the teachers to disseminate the students' progress reports safely. The research aimed to assess the implementation of the Academic Report Card Information System or RCIS at Cavite National High School Senior High School. Specifically, the study sought to answer the following questions. What is the assessment of the teachers, students, and parents respondents on the implementation of the Academic Report Card Information System at Cavite National High School Senior High School in terms of the following: usability, under of usability, accessibility, efficiency, user-friendliness, functionality, security, or information safety? Based on the interviews, what problems respondents encountered in the distribution of the academic report cards at Cavite National High School, Senior High School during the pandemic due to COVID-19? Third, based on the results of the study, what action plan may be proposed to solve the problems in the distribution of report cards at Cavite National High School, Senior High School during the pandemic due to COVID-19? In this study, the developmental research approach will be used for the RCIS, in which the research was combined in the developmental input process output using a conceptual model study represented by a diagram. For the participants and other sources of data information, the respondents to the study are the teachers, grade 11 and grade 12 students and parents of CNHS, SHS for the school year 2021-2022. The researchers will use a mixed method design with simple random sampling. Participants are from the different academic track strands presently offered by the CNHS, SHS under the modular and online distance modality. In methods, the researchers will use a descriptive mixed method design applying self-structured survey questionnaire. The gathering of data will be conducted during the second quarter of the school year 2021-2022 via Google Forms with a proper letter of permission and approval for the authority. To present a foremost proceeding, the that would provide extensive information to assess the implementation of the RCs at CNHS, SHS. The researchers shall initiate direct face-to-face interviews to unveil the real responses of the respondents' opinions, emotions, sentiments, and reactions based on the questions presented by the researcher. Data is to be collected according to the following procedures towards the completion of the study. A. Research proposal to conduct the research. Next, validation of the self-structured questionnaire. Third, letter of permission to authorities to conduct a survey and interview. Fourth, conduct surveys and perform interviews. And last, documentary analysis.
Good day, our dear and respectable panelists of VCBER. It is an honor to present to you our study called Online Kausap or Kumustahan to alleviate and unload stress and anxieties amidst pandemic, developing a school-based group intervention program for teachers amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. I am Adrian B. Octaviano with my co-author Mrs. Jane J. Bantigue from San Jose Community High School, Division of Cavite. The COVID-19 pandemic is not just causing health crisis around the world. It is also affecting all spheres of life, including the field of education. The real challenge herewith is on how to provide and deliver quality education, and on what extent are we going to become prepared when another crisis comes in the future. This is in match connection with the Mental Health Law or RA 11036, which states in the Section 2 that the state hereby affirms the basic right of all Filipinos to mental health as well as the fundamental rights of people who require mental health services. Furthermore, video chat can ease the psychological stress of social distancing. Hence, as an intervention in our school, we conducted online kausap. The primary objective is to develop an effective online intervention program in such a time like this pandemic for teachers. As for innovation, intervention, and strategy, online kausap used Google Meet for every session. It is voluntarily attended by 8 teacher participants who were available every 5 to 6 in the evening of every Monday weekly for 6 consecutive sessions. Every week or session had a particular topic. Week 1 is about the orientation and overview of online kausap. The week 2 is about boosting mental health and self-care. Week 3 is about gratitude or how to have a grateful heart. Week 4 is about savoring or how to exercise savoring moments. Week 5, sleep and meditation. And finally, on week 6 is about exercise and Zumba dance. The participants of this research study were limited to the 8 teaching personnel of San Jose Community High School. As for data gathering method, the researchers used the teachers' responses to the Depression, Anxiety, and Stress Scale or DAS-21. To analyze the data gathered, the researchers used mean, standard deviation, and percentage difference. This table 1, refers to the results of DAS-21 before the intervention. It is noticeable that the average emotional state of the participants were severe in depression and both extremely severe in anxiety and stress. On the other hand, the second table, which refers to the emotional states of the participants after the intervention, remarkably reduced the average of each emotional state. Table 2 revealed that the participants' average emotional state compellingly decreased from severe depression to mild in depression and both extremely severe in anxiety and stress convincingly turned to moderate. Based on findings, it shows that the weighted mean of pretest is 25.58 with SD of 8.28, while the weighted mean of the post-test is 12.25 with an SD of 11.68. Therefore, the computed percentage difference of both weighted mean is 52.12%.
For the implication, the intervention has effectively reduced the stress and anxieties of teachers and found to be useful in addressing their negative emotional states. Therefore, the online intervention program has a positive impact on the wellness of teaching personnel. And for our conclusion, there is a significant difference between pre-intervention and post-intervention. Also, the online Kausap intervention program is proposed to be utilized for teachers identified with severe depression, anxieties, and stress.
I humbly present to you our study titled Assessment on the Level of Research Competence of DepEd Mendes Teaching Personnel, Basis for a Proposed Capacity Building Program. Globally, data-driven studies have undeniably contributed to a better way of life, progressive change, needs-based policy formulation, innovations, and immediate solutions. However, the Lepena 2021 said that despite resources, productivity remains very low in the national level. In 2019, there were only 10 proposals submitted and only 3 entries were completed in the same year in the District of Mendez. Abaro and Marino 2016 published that teachers have an average level of research capabilities. In the same vein, Farin et al. 2021 supported that teachers are moderately capable in terms of research writing. Moreover, Celebi 2021 said having a low level of attitude and interest mean that the competence cannot reach the expected level. Furthermore, Basilio and Bueno 2019 stated that teachers value training in research but moderately apply findings to the real-life context. Simple random sampling technique was used to select the participants of the study. Out of 186 teachers, only 127 responded in the online survey used. The data were analyzed using frequency, percentage, mean, and the chi-square test. It has been revealed that out of 127 participants, 19.69% were between the age of 41 to 45, 88.98% were females, 39.37% were Teacher 3, 58.27% were bachelor's degree holders, 25.20% had no research trainings attended, and another 25.20% were with at least 2 research trainings attended. Table 1 presents the level of research competence. Data shows that the participants are competent in writing a proposal and a research paper. Its mean are 2.90 and 2.77, interpreted as competent respectively. These findings strongly recommend a capacity-building program that would further enhance the research competence of the teachers. This is supported by the study of Gahoy et al. 2021, which published that DepEd personnel internate has an average capability in writing a research proposal. Likewise, Corpus 2020 published that elementary teachers were moderately capable in their research skills and process. Table 2 shows the association between the participants' level of research competence and their profile. This indicates that position, education attainment, and research trainings attended have no significant association since p-value is greater than 0.05 level of significance. These results emphasize that teachers' level of research competence is not affected by their position, education attainment, and research trainings attended. This is supported by Abaro and Marino in 2016, which said that research capabilities of public elementary school teachers are not affected by the position and highest educational attainment. Likewise, Tamban and Maningas 2020 also stated that position and number of research seminars attended are not significantly correlated with research capability. Capila Jr. et al. 2018 also said that profiles have no direct bearing on the respondent's skills and techniques. The results of the study confirm that there is a direct impact on the teacher-researcher's existing practices, particularly in using research as a tool in improving one's professional development. In terms of writing a research proposal or research report, DepEdManda's teaching personnel were found out to be competent. Participants' level of research competence has no significant association with their position, educational attainment, and research trainings attended. The following recommendations are suggested: needs assessment analysis prior to training, impact analysis after the training, hands-on technical assistance from the MRC and the SDRC. Here are the list of the references. Envisioning every Filipino teacher a researcher. This has been Iris Rio C. Pereña, Teacher 2 from Pedro Alegre Aure Senior High School, together with my principal, Sir Edwin V. Lucero. Thank you everyone. To God be the glory.
Good day everyone. To present a research titled Ka-Homebody Intervention Program, championing the ABM Student Business Simulation, I'm Michelle D. Lilo, and together with me are Dr. Alpa D. Acuña and Dr. Liberty M. Torres. To start with, the creation of Project Ka-Homebody was established to provide assistance to ABM students to sustain their interest in studying. Model D was chosen for the student to be able to draft business proposal, employing the different analysis tool like SWOT appropriate in the current condition of their local using Project Ka-Homebody peer tutoring. The primary objective of this project is to focus on learning, ensuring quality of teaching and learning, and provision learning resources to ABM students using peer tutoring. With regards to key literature, according to COBEL 2021, peer tutoring increases student engagement in the learning process, helps students feel less frightened by the content in doing marketing research and business plan, and students who learn more actively and participate both inside and outside of the classroom. Therefore, academic achievement will be significantly increased. And according to Basay 2010 and Ulawan, Tabasum, and Kalim in 2018, peer tutoring has a positive impact on student learning, motivation, and socialization of both tutors and tutees. For the purpose of getting the result of the study, descriptive correlational was used. The participants were 43 grade 12 ABM students under the digitized modular distance learning. Purposive sampling was used in selecting the participant. Percentage and t-test was used to determine significant difference in the academic performance of students before and after the Project Ka-Homebody. In collecting data, a letter of request was given to the school head for the researcher to be allowed to conduct the study and collect data from the students. Written parental consent and consent for minors were provided and secured before the start of the data gathering process. Most importantly, the study strongly observed ethical considerations since deal with parents, use written parental consent and consent for minors, and issues on confidentiality on their business simulation grades and anonymity were communicated with them and with their parents. To share the findings of the study, Table 1 shows the academic performance of grade 12 ABM student before the program. The academic performance of 43 students before is 77% and after 93% are outstanding. This means that the academic performance of the students increased after the implementation of the program Project Ka-Homebody. Table 2 shows that there is a significant difference between the academic performance of the student with a p-value of 0.001014.476. This implies that the academic performance of the student is greatly influenced by their classmate as peer tutor involvement in making their business plan. This also helps uplift their moral, social, and emotional values, most especially their ability to express their ideas. To conclude, initially, the academic performance of the students greatly improved after the implementation of Project Ka-Homebody program. Secondly, there is a significant change in the academic performance of the students participating in the business simulation activities. And finally, the peer tutor and the students' involvement has a notable impact on the learning. With the impressive finding of the study, it is highly recommended that other academic strands such as UMS, In their culminating activity, investigation, inquiries, and immersion may think about modifying the Kahome Body Program to conduct home-based instructional supervision for the purpose of offering the student technical support. And finally, the involvement of teachers, parents, students in their children's education should continue and strengthen in order to provide the necessary technical and instructional support for their academic achievement. And here is the references of this study. Thank you and good day.
Presently, it is a privilege to present the findings of my study entitled Exposure to Child Online Protection Concerns and Response Mechanisms of Grade 11 Young Students, Basis for Localized Social Media Policy. This is Amelita Ernie Deloy, a teacher in Trece Matras City Senior High School from the Schools Division of Cavite Province. As technology progresses, access to information and communication technology platforms has also significantly increased. According to the study of Kemp in 2019, the Philippines is #1 globally in terms of average length of time spent per day in social media, averaging to 10 hours and 2 minutes compared to the global average of 6 hours and 42 minutes. Online engagement of students had significantly increased during the implementation of the Learning Continuity Plan. The lack of face-to-face interaction encouraged students to rely on alternative mediums of communication and sources of information through the internet and different social media platforms. Whether enrolled in modular distance learning or online distance learning, the primary mode of communication between students to teachers and students to their classmates was through the social media. One of the key literature in this study is the CyberSafe survey of Survey Foundation conducted in 2015. The study found out that 9 out of 10 children were internet users, 4 out of 10 primarily used the internet for school assignments, and 3 out of 10 primarily used the internet for social media. Another is the National Baseline Study on Violence Against Children, which found out that 43.8% of children aged 13 to 18 experience cyber violence. UNICEF in 2018 enumerated the risks children experience online. These include verbal abuse over the internet or mobile phone, receiving sexual messages, and showing own nude body or sexual activities in the internet or mobile phone. In the light of these studies, this research investigated the extent of students' exposure to child online protection concerns such as content, conduct, and conduct risks. Findings of the study were utilized in crafting the social media policy of the school. To generate the desired information, the participants of the study were asked the following questions. What are the extent of exposure of the participants on online child protection concerns in terms of content risk, contact risk, and conduct risk? What are the response mechanisms of the participants when they encounter child online protection concerns? This study was conducted during the first semester of school year 2020-2021 among the grade 11 humanities and social sciences students enrolled in both online distance learning and modular distance learning. Complete enumeration was utilized in the selection of participants. A total of 233 participated in the study. This is a descriptive survey research using the CyberSafe survey questionnaire, which was modified to suit the objective of the study. For the findings on the question what are the extent of exposure of the participants on online child protection concerns in terms of content risk, both male and female respondents claimed to be slightly exposed to seeing images of videos of people hurting each other. Among the indicators of online content risk, images or videos with exposure of private parts and having sexual intercourse were never experienced by the participant. In terms of contact risk, this study found out that the participants were slightly exposed to people who threatened them physically, told them hurtful words, or hurt their feelings, and talked about sexual matters. Furthermore, male participants were observed to be more exposed to contact risk with people who threatened to hurt them, while female participants showed that they were more exposed to contact risk with people who told them hurtful words or hurt their feelings. In terms of conduct risk, adding people they did not know personally on their social media account was the most common conduct risk committed by the participants. Both male and female participants were moderately exposed to this conduct risk. Overall, the participants were most exposed to conduct risk, while content risks were the least among the three concerns. It is important to note that while the interpretation indicates that the respondents were never exposed to this type of risk, the weighted average of 1.62 conveyed that there was a considerable number of participants who were exposed to this type of risk. And on the child protection perspective, based on the principle of 1 is too much, it is not how many were exposed to the risky contents. An exposure of one child is a case of concern. As to the response mechanisms employed by the participants, both male and female participants manifested keeping the experience to themselves and refused talking about the experience. Furthermore, it is shown that male participants tend to keep the experiences by themselves compared to female participants. The latter shared their experiences to their friends or parents more than the males. Based on the findings of the study, the following are recommended. 1. Craft a localized social media policy. 2. Strengthen the guidance services. 3. Explore other research design. And 4. Consider other variables and data analysis. The following are the related literature and studies consulted in this research. This ends my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this conference.
Pleasant day to all of you. I am your presenter for today. I am April L. Macam. With me is my partner, Rachel M. Nazareno. So we are here to present to you our paper titled Profile, Career Choices, Skills Assessment, and Perceived Curriculum Efficacy of 2019 Senior High School Graduates in the District of Trece Martires City. So this is actually a tracer study. So we mainly investigated the whereabouts of our graduates. Specifically, we were able to get their profiles, career choices, skills assessment. We're able to get their views in terms of the curriculum, efficacy of K-12 program. The tracer study adapted from Inductivo and Velasco in 2019. So we transformed this tool into an online survey. So we reach our graduates through snowball sampling techniques. So actually, we had like 600 graduates coming from various strands, but due to their unavailability, there were only 130 graduates who answered the online questionnaire. So as per the distribution of our participants, majority of them came from GAS, followed by UMS, STEM, ABM, and TVL. So via Google form, we sent the link to them. So our tool has 7 parts. So as you can see, these are the parts. And for our findings, so the profile of our respondents as per age ranging from 21 to 22. So as per sex, a majority of our respondents were females, civil status single. They still reside here in Cavite, and as per their status, so majority of them chose higher education. A few of them chose employment, but it is noteworthy that most of them went to production, services, and customer services. So as you can see, the courses that they took was actually more of elementary or education field, social science field like criminology, HRM, and of course business field like accountancy. So what are the factors that influence them in their career choices? So of course, 84% claimed that their choice was based on their personal decision, while 34% used or acquired their decision from their parents or relative, and the rest of the percentage, they claim that they use their NCARE results as basis for selecting their career choice. For the reasons for the career choice, so as you can see, they were very attracted to high-paying jobs. So these graduates are really practical, followed by passion for the chosen field, as based on the findings, the choice that they had in college was very much aligned to the strand that they took in SHS. Third, opportunity for employment, very surprising, abroad. And number 4, of course, affordability and availability of options. So with the self-assessed skills, majority of them said that they were very skillful in terms of leadership, productivity, and accountability, and these graduates claimed themselves as morally upright individuals. So for them, the weaknesses that they had were like system thinking, design thinking, multiple literacy, as this got the lowest mean scores. As you can see, the findings ran parallel with Inductivo and Velasco's findings. Alright, so K-12 curriculum efficacy was actually perceived as very relevant to their choice and career. Actually, in terms of research, they excelled in college in terms of doing research, and they found this aspect of curriculum very helpful to them. As for the weaknesses of curriculum, they would really like to really improve the instructional material, especially the supply of IMs in the basic education.
Good day everyone. My name is Arlene G. Hernan and my partner is Berna C. Hermoso. Today I am going to present to you our study entitled Assessing the Level of Research Writing Competency of Caloocan National High School Teachers Basis for Training Plan. We are from Municipality of Magallanes, Cavite Province. For the introduction, Suri as part of a 7 PPAs monitors the school status in research. So since this is one of the requirements, teachers' research engagement is very crucial even in the midst of pandemic in order to cope with the reports and trends. This research study focused on the engagement level of Caloocan National High School teachers and the factors that influencing the teacher research skills. Focusing on teacher research engagement helps the school in enhancing the research status report. So in Caloocan National High School, conducting this research is very helpful in planning a training plan, or it will be used as a reference for an action research. For the research question, number 1, what is the level of research writing competency of Caloocan National High School teachers in different areas such as developing topic and finding resources, research methodologies, analyzing and interpreting data, and writing conclusions and recommendations? What are the challenges encountered by the teachers in conducting educational research? And what are the recommendations can be made to address the needs of teachers based on the result of this research study? So we use the 15 teaching personnel of Caloocan National High School for our respondents in this study. For the methodology, we utilize quantitative or descriptive research method. To determine the level of research writing competency of the respondents, researcher used a survey questionnaire wherein there is a descriptive interpretation in each item. Interview was also done in order to gather information about the teacher's challenges in writing educational research. Frequency table, ranking, percentage, and weighted means were also used in this study. For verbal interpretation or remarks of the computed weighted mean, we use the 4-point Likert scale. For the result and discussion of the study, this slide shows the level of research writing competency of respondents in developing topic and finding resources. So we have here 6 item, and we gathered 2.91 for the total weighted mean, which means that the respondents falls under with a little knowledge level. For the next slide, we have here a level of research writing competency of the respondents in research methodologies. So this is composed of 6 items, and we gathered the average or the total weighted mean of 3 or average level. And then for this slide, this is the level of research writing competency of the respondents in analyzing and interpreting data. So we have here 7 items, and we gathered 2.78 for the total weighted mean, which means that the respondents fall under with a little knowledge level. For the next slide, we have here the level of research writing competency of the respondents in writing conclusions and recommendations. So we have here 3 items, and we gathered a total weighted mean of 3.11, which means that the respondents falls under the average level. For the result and discussion of the problem number 2, what are the challenges encountered by the teachers in conducting educational research? We have here 5 challenges. Additional workload and burden in the part of the teacher, and that is 26.27%, rank 2. Lack of time, 40%, which is rank 1. Lack of support from the school, which is 0%, and that is last in the rank. Lack of sufficient reference materials, and that is 13.33, which is rank 4. And inadequate knowledge in conducting educational research, which is 20%, which is rank 3. For the recommendation based from this study, we have here for the administrator, number 1, design a research-related program and training outside or in school to enhance the knowledge of teachers in writing and educational research. Number 2, provide all the support that the school can give to boost the interest of the teachers in writing research. Number 3, give time for the teachers to do research so that they will not feel research as burden and additional workload. For the teacher researcher, involve yourself in research-related training to enhance knowledge in writing a research. Be open-minded and consider writing an educational research as a positive challenge in educational field. When writing an educational research, manage time wisely and follow the one task at a time so that you will not feel always in hurry or lack of time. So this is our research study. God bless and good day.
Good day. This is Dr. Arvin A. Marinduque, Head Teacher 4 of Cavite City Science National High School Integrated Senior High School, and I am here to present to you my study entitled Synchronous and Asynchronous Learning Delivery and Academic Performance of Selected Students of Cavite City Science National High School Integrated Senior High School, Basis for Proposed Intervention Program. Rational. The education system around the world is witnessing a significant shift in its expectations to address immediate and sustainable development challenges due to COVID-19, Carolis 2020. Private and public schools are put to the task on revising and adapting course syllabi as they shifted to alternative or remote learning modalities, both synchronous and asynchronous activities. DepEd 2020. Students and teachers need to access electronic devices and reliable internet connections to use applications like Google Meet, Zoom, and Skype. CHED 2020. But when students had limited access to computers or to a reliable internet, teachers and students used mobile phones to exchange messages, notes, and materials through text messaging, email, and Facebook Messenger. With the mentioned situations of the schools, teachers, and students, it is of great premise that there is a need for continuous education in the delivery of distance learning programs, synchronous and asynchronous modalities. This paved way for the researcher to look deeply at the implementation and extent of effectiveness of the synchronous and asynchronous science learning delivery in relation to the student's academic performance 2021 to 2022 of Cavite City Science National High School Integrated Senior High School as basis for a proposed intervention program. Methodology. Quantitative method of research with purposive sampling technique was used in the study, while questionnaire on the lesson content, lesson input, and lesson enrichment were used to gather empirical data to selected junior high school, Cavite City Science National High School, Integrated Senior High School, composed of 125 students from grade 7 to grade 9, who are enrolled for the school year 2021 to 2022. Additionally, frequency count, percentage, weighted mean, and ranking were used to analyze and interpret the data gathered. Moreover, pertinent request letters to conduct the study were undertaken and were also utilized and explained to respondents about the nature of the study. Results and discussions. Extent of effectiveness of synchronous and asynchronous science learning delivery as assessed by the respondents. Based on the findings of the study, all indicators were assessed as strongly agree as to extent of effectiveness of synchronous and asynchronous learning delivery in terms of lesson content. Weighted mean equals 3.62. Lesson inputs, weighted mean 3.76. And lesson applications, weighted mean equals. In addition, the respondents assess the level of academic performance of junior high school in science, having implemented the synchronous and asynchronous learning delivery as improving. Weighted mean equals 3.56. Furthermore, there is no significant relationship in the assessment on the extent of effectiveness of synchronous and asynchronous learning delivery in terms of their age and gender. Conclusions. In the light of the findings and results of the study, it can be concluded that an intervention program may be developed that will provide learners with more critical assessment on how students manage meaningfully their time, patience, and understanding science concepts in the synchronous and asynchronous learning modalities as it is related to their level of academic performance. This study was limited to synchronous and asynchronous learning modalities as it influenced the level of academic performance of the students and its impact in the delivery of science subjects. And this research study.
A pleasant morning to everyone. Our research is about lived experiences of teachers in modular distance learning, input for high teach. I am Asset Patrice D. Poblete, together with my principal, Ma'am Vilma B. Bautista. For the rationale, the creation of this study aimed to look at the experiences among teachers under the modular distance learning that drastically affect due to pandemic. Thus, these both challenge teachers and learners, including the parents, in teaching and learning process. For key literature in this present situation, it is mostly relevant to modular-based approach or topic. Specifically, the teachers need to adapt their practices to keep the student engaged to effective and efficient learning as every household become a classroom. For monitoring the progress of the learners according to Camara 2021. The gaps in the existing studies about the knowledge and application and what make it different from the other study, it's because it focus on giving an input for the high teach for the advantage of the teachers as well as the learners in learning and teaching process. For methodology, the use of qualitative research design was used that focused on phenomenology. There are 7 participants in the study out of 14 teachers using purposive sampling, and all the teacher leaders in grade level were chosen to give shape to the study. For the tools, the use of interview with guide question and data analysis using manual coding and team. Let's now move to the findings. For research question 1.1, experiences met by teachers in the distribution and retrieval of SLM, LIF, LAS, and WHLP. So the code here is demanding or bombarded tasks with the team struggling experience in distribution and retrieval of learning material. So with here, Daniel and Sumawang stated that the teacher need to consider learners in order to provide them monitoring for progress. For research question 1.2, experiences met in the production of learning materials. So the code here is the adaptable to work on progress with the team being flexible and adaptable in any means to give the learner the best experience to learn. So according to Daniel and Sumawong, the teachers need to have a more variety and flexibility for them to increase adaptability in instructional materials. For research question 1.3, experiences met in communication with the HLFs and learners. So the code here is the consideration to the home learning facilitators and learners with the team enduring tolerating that situation in communicating with the HLFs support the learners in learning. So according to Flip Science, the primary role here of the parents in modular is to establish connection and guide the child. So for research question ng 1.4, experiences met in classroom observation for technical assistant. The code here is the improvement in teaching and learning process with the team in strengthening the ability to learn new things and be able to apply in the field of teaching and to the learner. So as imposed to DepEd national program, it gives emphasis on ensuring full implementation of K-12 curricula. For research question number 2, input gain in MDL to high teach. So the code here is boosting the ability to learn and apply for the learner's need with the team enrichment of the program for quality education. So here to support the high teach, it established team-based instruction, supervision for giving technical assistance in terms of content and pedagogy. For the implication of the study, it can be a new source of reference, innovation, and improvement for specific purposes like strategies for dealing with the same issues and concern using this modality, and also in strengthening the ICT-mediated instruction, inset, and making action research for the CIP. For the recommendation, we have here the teacher need to be flexible to make learning resources always open and available to cater the needs of the learners. And also, the teachers and parents should seek a high support to develop and improve the student ability to learn and do tasks independently. And lastly, other researcher may find this as reference. For reference and guide, you can use this. Thank you for taking time. Thanks a lot.
Mabuhay! We are from SDO Cavite Province and I'm Marilyn T. Bergunyo, EPS in MAPE.
My name is Luisito O. Ernie, Master Teacher 1 of Cavite City Science National High School Integrated Senior High School.
And I'm Blanca S. Bendo, Teacher 3 of Cavite City Science National High School Integrated Senior High School.
And we are here to present to you our study entitled Uphill Challenges and Coping Strategies of Learners in Modular Distance Learning. According to the Department of Education, education never stops. Despite and in spite of the situation, modular distance learning had been part of the learning process even before pandemic. But COVID-19 paved its way to its full swing. Pandemic challenged the department on how to deliver and provide quality education on our students in the comfort of their home, with their parents and guardians playing the role we used to play. This paper will present the challenges encountered by the learners during the process of the modular distance learning. The testimonies will be used as reference by another learner or by themselves perhaps to handle the modular modality properly and less stress in the process. In this study, we tried to identify common challenges and problems encountered by the learners with modular distance learning with the purpose to find solutions and recommendation on how our learners can deal with this approach since education and learning do continue.
For this qualitative research, interview questionnaires through mobile phones will be used to assess the respondents. Random sampling technique by using fishbowl method by Sibilia was employed in obtaining the sample size for the beneficiaries and management of the participants. The distribution of the population and respondents were the selected junior high school of the province of Cavite. The results will be based on identifying the problems and implementing appropriate intervention programs to help to cope with the learners with the present situation. The participants of this research will be the 20 selected junior high school learners, which are composed of 5 learners from each unit of the division of Cavite for the school year 2020-2021. The data gathering procedure are as follows. Secure letter from the principal of the selected school of the division of Cavite to conduct a survey study. Send interview questionnaire through the respondents through the use of mobile phones or Facebook Messenger. Collected, analyzed the data with the help of the statistician.
We will strengthen our proposal by addressing ethics carefully and in a way that reflect in detail the ethical implication of the study design. The protection of private patient information is one of the most important ethical and legal issues in the field of research. Hence, all information obtained from respondents will remain private and confidential, ensuring the quality and integrity of our research. Seek informed consent from the parents of our respondents. Respect the confidentiality and anonymity of a research respondent, ensure that our participants will participate in our study voluntarily, avoid harm to our participants, and can show that our research is independent and impartial. Qualitative analysis was used to interpret the responses of the respondents.
Based on the results of the study, the following conclusions were drawn. The learner's perspective on modular distance learning were divided into 4, namely, importance of the home facilitator, suitable for the new normal, challenging and hard, recognizing the role of the teachers in the learning process. There were 4 struggles in using MDL as perceived by the learners: poor time management, lack of facilitators, lack of gadgets and strong connectivity, learners' poor comprehension and confusion.
That there are 2 types of attitudes that were shown by the learners during the process of MDL, positive and negative attitudes. The adaptability in MDL includes good time management, good communication with the teachers, and the school support system.
Based on the findings presented, the following recommendations are suggested. The presence of competent home facilitator should always be considered. In the absence of home facilitator, open communication with the teacher in any possible way. Assist home facilitators on how to educate their children the importance of time management. Provide a comprehensive guide such as weekly home learning plan. Gadgets subsidized by the government can be utilized by prioritizing learners without gadgets. And lastly, local government can possibly provide a designated area in their barangay halls wherein learners can come and connect to wireless connection for them to be able to either communicate with their teachers or submit their outputs.
Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Brian Luis G. Lazara from Noveleta Senior High School, and this is my paper titled Parenting Styles and Student Engagement in Light of the Pandemic, a Correlational Predictive Study as a Basis for Crafting a Learner Support Program. There is no smaller classroom than a family's living room, and there is no better way to personalize instruction than through a parent. However, since February 2020, schools around the world have declared suspensions of classes, including the Philippines. The Department of Education offered new learning modalities for the continuity of education despite the pandemic. Students' engagement became the prime focus of the learning process, and parental involvement took a huge part in the educational setting. This study aims to identify the parenting styles and learning engagement of NSHS students and the correlation that exists between the 2 variables. It also aims to design a linear regression model and a learner support program. The study is centered on Bomber's theory of parenting styles and other key literature which govern the conduct of this paper. 111 NSHS students were randomly chosen as participants of this study with 0.95 power and 0.3 effect. The researcher utilized the mixed method design with a prime focus on the correlational predictive research design. Furthermore, Chinese parenting style 4-factor questionnaire and the student engagement form from the study of Hart and others were used as the main instruments for this study. Results show that majority of the respondents have authoritative parents, followed by authoritarian ones. whereas the least number goes to the uninvolved style of parenting. Student engagement in this study is measured through the cognitive domain, behavioral domain, and affective domain. Results revealed that the liking for learning in school under affective domain, effort and persistence in extracurricular under behavioral domain, and the cognitive domain all falls in the engaged level as referred to the Likert scale used in the study. Meanwhile, liking for school and extracurricular have the highest and lowest mean scores respectively. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, results show that the educators are successful in providing learners the sense of belongingness in the school setting. Through Spearman-Rowe correlational analysis, it was found that parenting styles is significantly correlated to student engagement. This study also revealed that all variables used to measure students' engagement, including liking for learning, liking for school, effort and persistence, extracurricular, and cognitive domains were found to be significantly correlated to the styles of parenting, namely authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and uninvolved styles. A positive correlation was found, which means that as the parenting style score increases, the student engagement level also increases. With the proven correlation in all the linear regression assumptions being met, including the normality of residuals, linearity, homoscedasticity, and absence of multicollinearity, the researcher found that parenting styles is a significant predictor of student engagement. 82.50% of the variance of student engagement can be predicted by parenting styles. The positive beta results indicates that the parenting style scores and the student's level of engagement have a direct relationship. The link between the two variables is represented in this linear regression model. Using qualitative analysis, the effects of parenting styles was determined as perceived by the respondents. Positive and negative effects were gathered, including pressure, loss of focus, and feeling of neglection. Using the findings, the researcher proposes Program Pillar Plus, a 10-week program which aims to strengthen the relationship between parents, teachers, and students for the latter's engagement improvement. The results of this study will be primarily beneficial to the parents, teachers, students, and school administrators as a help in addressing the gaps between parenting styles and academic engagement level of students in the new normal setup. Alright, we have just proven that parenting styles is a significant predictor of student engagement. The study revealed that a positive correlation exists between the two variables. With all this being said, the Program Pillar Plus is recommended to further strengthen the bonds between the internal stakeholders of the educational institution. Again, I am Mr. Brian Luis G. Lazaro, and thank you for listening to my paper titled Parenting Styles and Student Engagement in Light of the Pandemic, a correlational predictive study as a basis for a learner support program.
Everyone, I am Caroline L. Eugenio, and with me is my co-author Leah Roshena B. Mandugon, and we will present our research entitled Online Self-Regulated Learning Skills and Academic Achievement Among ODL Students in the District of Trece Martires City, Input for Improved BELCP Implementation. For the introduction and rationale, in the District of Trece Martires City, one of the modalities adapted by the senior high schools is the online distance learning. In the BELCP, ODL involves the use of internet connectivity for teachers to facilitate learning and engage remotely with their students. The ODL, however, proved to have faced challenges that hindered its supposed objective of learning continuity. Technical barriers like internet issues, audio clarity, outdated device and software, and system glitch became apparent. Other problems are lack of technical, concentration, and problem-solving skill. Students also had difficulty in limited confidence, self-direction, or motivation. So, some researchers suggest that students' online self-regulated learning skills are needed to combat these learning obstacles. On that note, students' self-regulated learning skills are one factor that can affect academic achievement in the ODL modality. Self-regulated learning is the learner's willingness and conscious effort in controlling their learning behavior to achieve academic success. Moreover, various empirical studies have also been conducted to identify and bridge the gaps in the implementation of BELCP. It is now necessary to review its effectiveness in the ODL modality a couple of years after being introduced in the country, and in the locality of City, such study has not yet been performed in any senior high school. Therefore, this research aimed to investigate how the self-regulated learning skills of ODL students impact their academic achievements. For the research questions, the study aimed to explore the students' self-regulated learning skills in online distance learning and its relationship with their academic achievement in the district of City. So on your screen are the other specific research questions. For the methodology, we have 78 respondents determined through the use of Slovin's formula. We gathered data through the Google form to analyze the students' attitude toward e-learning and their self-regulated learning skills in online learning. The weighted mean was used. Meanwhile, to determine the relationship between the two variables, Pearson R was used. As can be seen on Table 1, the respondents had a very effective environment structuring skills. Meanwhile, they have effective time management, goal setting, and self-evaluation skills. And also, they had only somewhat effective help-seeking and task strategy skills. So generally, they have an effective online self-directed learning skills with a weighted mean of 3.78. So as you can see in the table 2, there is a high mean of 94.01. This result suggests that the respondents enrolled in the ODL performed exemplarily. And for the table 3, there is a significant moderate positive relationship between the respondents' online self-regulated learning skills and their academic achievement at 0.05 level of significance. This suggests that the respondents' online self-regulated learning skills increases with their academic achievement. For the conclusion, it can be concluded that while the students have an effective online self-regulated learning skills, there is still a need for them to optimize these skills as they are needed to succeed in the ODL modality. Apparently, the students' academic achievement is high, which means that despite the fact that the said modality has only been implemented for 2 years, they excel academically. As per the result of this study, this high level of academic achievement is related to their effective online self-regulated learning skills. Therefore, there is a need to sustain or even optimize these skills if the modality is to be adapted again in the country. So for the recommendation, it is flash in the screen. Okay. Online learning is not the next big thing. It is now the big thing, according to Donna J. Abernathy. So thank you so much for listening.
Assessment on the proficiency, issues, and challenges of science elementary teachers in the District of Noveleta on science investigatory projects, basis for capability building.
The National Science and Technology Fair showcases the knowledge and research skills of the students across grade levels throughout the Philippines. In line with this event, the regional and division offices also conduct their science and technology fairs as qualifying events for those who want to participate in the national level. The District of Noveleta limits itself in joining only one of the 6 categories of science investigatory project for the elementary level. This notion shows that only few teachers were able and competent in coaching and facilitating the SIPs worthy of competing in various competitions. This study wants to know the proficiency, issues, and challenges of the science elementary teachers in the District of Noveleta in coaching and joining SIP competitions. The results will be utilized in conducting capability trainings and technical assistance to science elementary teachers in order for them to join competitions in SIPs. Research questions. RQ1. What is the level of proficiency of science elementary teachers in the following parts of the science investigatory projects? Research question 2. What are the parts of writing SIP paper does the science elementary teachers list proficient? Number 3. What are the issues and concerns of the respondents in joining competitions on science investigatory projects? And And 4. What are the ways forward for improvement in the culture of science investigatory projects in the District of Noveleta? Research methodology for sampling. The study includes all science teachers from grades 3 to 6 in the Noveleta district. The district has 41 elementary science teachers who served as official respondents. Data collection. Mixed method of approach is used. The quantitative data was collected by answering a 4-point Likert scale. In the qualitative side, the data was collected by the answers of the respondents in the given questions. The research tool was validated by master teacher of Noveleta district who competed in different competitions in SIP. Data analysis. Mean scores were used to measure the central tendency of the data collected using the Likert scale for data analysis. The scale was described using standard deviation. Thematic analysis was used to identify the issues and challenges that teachers face when coaching and participating in SIP competitions. Results and discussion. For research question number 1, chapters 1, 2, and 3, the respondents are slightly proficient. For chapters 4, project data logbook, and ISEF forms, the respondents are slightly proficient. In chapter 5, the respondents are proficient. The table shows the summary of the results from chapters 1 to 5 and the project data logbook and ISEF forms. The table shows that the respondents were only slightly proficient in the majority of the parts of writing and preparing the documents for science investigatory projects. It includes sections in which they will identify their problem, cite relevant studies, methodology, presenting the results, and document their scientific research. Preparing the documents like project data logbook and ISEF forms got the lowest average mean of 2.24, showing the struggle of respondents in preparing the said documents. RQ3. The issues and concerns of the respondents in joining in competitions. Most of them do not have the experience in writing research papers focusing on science investigatory projects. It is very evident based on the results that the respondents are not aware of the different categories of science investigatory projects. Respondents also struggle with the gathering and presenting the data that will be gathered during their study, in addition to the data analysis and treatment. For research question number 4, what are the ways forward for improvement in the culture of science investigatory projects in the District of Noveleta? The first one is the utilization of science investigatory project manual and also conducting of capability building. For the conclusion, this study demonstrates that the science teachers in the Noveleta district were incompetent in writing and coaching science investigatory projects. The district does, in fact, require capacity building to assist teachers in increasing their knowledge, skills, and potential in writing science papers. The results indicated that the science teachers are not well competent in writing papers for SIPs. The use of Division Science Investigatory Project Manual in assisting the teachers and coaches are recommended. Also conducting capability training, seminars, and webinars, and write shops to improve the knowledge and skills of the teachers and coaches, and benchmarking on schools with outstanding performance in science investigatory projects. These are the references used throughout this study. Thank you so much for listening.
Good day, everyone. I am Chelsea M. Garrido. Together with my research partner, Ms. Charlene A. Pababier, we will be presenting the effect of CNG. Cramming is not good method to students' academic motivation. As the academic year 2020-2021 have ended, the drastic increase of dropout rate, so as the rocket high number of students who needs intervention, may it be in special science curriculum or basic education curriculum, is undeniably alarming. This year evidently showed parents and guardians the side of the students which are mostly only seen in school. Some students were able to maintain good grades, some even performed better, but a larger number of students had grades they never had before. There are many reasons why these kinds of scenarios showed up in a situation like this. One of the biggest factors is the ability of the students to manage their time. The cramming is not good method is an academic strategy that can help students learn how to manage their time and adjust to their own phase of learning. This also gives the teacher an opportunity to accomplish more on a short period of time with the help of the students. The student receives all the necessary materials on the first day, such as the handouts, quizzes, and outputs required for the specific quarter. Links to the recorded video lessons will also be provided. Those who can finish early can be a help for the teacher to assist their classmates who are in need. They are free to have one-on-one video calls or group calls, which is a form of enrichment to other students that can train their leadership skills. So this study answered the questions about the effect of CNG method to students' academic motivation. These are the key literatures of our study. First is for time management, negative factors affecting the students' performance in school, importance of intervention program in school, and the different types of motivation, which is a big factor in developing the study. What makes our study unique is that it was conducted amidst the pandemic. Moreover, the pandemic happened during modern times, unlike when it happened decades ago, where the situation, materials, and technology available was way different from what we have now. The researchers would like to maximize what can possibly be used and done to aid the increasing number of dropouts and poor academic performance of numerous students, yet would be hand-reached for students of different economic backgrounds.
For our methodology, the study employs an experimental research design where the researcher attempted to analyze academic motivation of the grade 8 online students of Emiliano Triaterano Memorial National Integrated High School before using the CNG method, and analyze their academic motivation after undergoing the CNG method. The Academic Motivation Scale High School version by Dr. Robert J. Valorand and his colleagues was used to measure the variable analyzed in the study. The test of dependent variable was utilized to measure the significant difference before and after undergoing the CNG method. The mean was also analyzed to know if there was a positive or negative effect to the student's academic motivation. Moreover, the percentage and frequency per item was obtained to analyze the kind of academic motivation that was dominant before and after the strategy was utilized. For our findings, the results showed that the dominant motivation among the students in terms of academic motivation is extrinsic motivation with a mean percentage of 95.54%. Next to it is intrinsic motivation having 95.08%, and last is a motivation with 11.63%. To analyze the subscale, the extrinsic motivation identified got the highest percentage with 98.44%. It can be interpreted as that whether the students want to study or not, they are driven to study because they want to have a better chance for their future career. After the last day of second quarter period, and then their academic motivation was measured. Based on the results after the researcher used the CNG method to students after 2 quarters, the dominant academic motivation among the students is intrinsic motivation with a mean percentage of 94.86%. Next is extrinsic motivation with 92.38%, and the last is a motivation with 6.38. The subscale that became dominant was still intrinsic motivation identified with 98.92%.
A blessed day. This is a research presented by Dr. Josephine M. Gonzaga, Mr. Conrad D. Umar Jr., and Margaret P. Musa, entitled Values Education Program of Secondary Schools in the Division of Cavite Province, Basis of Proposed Strategic Plan. Rationale. Despite the goals of DepEd toward values education for moral transformation, the social problems faced by public education during this time become rampant and uncontrollable. Included among the reasons for the increase in youth violence are single-parent family, poor parenting in general, the abuse of children, the use of drugs, and the desire for money and power. This study sought to answer the following. How do the school administrators, values education teachers or guidance teachers, regular teachers, GPTA officers, and the students assess the implementation of values education? Second, what are the problems encountered by the respondents? And third, based on the findings, what strategic plan may be proposed? Key literature. Everything we learn, everything we influence others, and every relationship we formulate hangs around the complex interplay of behaviors, feelings, and thoughts. Monty Moore. Many individuals' complex behavior are the result of exposure to competent models who display appropriate behavior in solving problems and coping with their world. Pascal. The development of learners' cognitive competence and skills must be complemented by the formation of their values and attitudes anchored on the vision, mission, and core values of the Department of Education. DepEd Order Number 36. It is evident that there is a need to study the values education programs of the DepEd and its implementation to make informed decisions and plans that will help the department attain its mission and vision, as well as promoting its core values. Methodology. Sampling, we have 64 junior high schools in 19 municipalities and cities with 4 clustering of namely North, East, West, and South. Based from this, purposive sampling procedure was used in this study. School heads, regular teachers, guidance or ESP teachers, together with GPT students were the respondents of this study. Using the non-probability sampling, there were a total number of 2,146 respondents. Research instrument. This study utilized the researcher-made questionnaire as the main data gathering instrument. Statistical treatment of data. The following statistical tools were used in the analysis and interpretation of the data. 1. Frequency count and percentage distribution. 2. Weighted mean. 3. 5-point Likert scale. Findings. Based on the findings, it was revealed that the assessment on the level of implementation of values education program was shown to be implemented. In addition, it was found that the implementation of values education programs relative to problems was rarely encountered. Here's the proposed 3-year strategic plan that we come up to. Implications. Findings on the research questions implied that the values education program of public secondary schools in the division of Cavite Province perceived to be highly implemented. However, this also imposes on them to improve further on the program objectives, physical facilities, laboratory, leadership and governance, and monitoring and evaluation, which are needed to link the various disciplines. Conclusion. These stipulated priority areas that are born out of the analysis may seem to slightly content the results of quantitative results, although it may seem that way. Both results show that there are still avenues of improvement. The strategic plan was developed and proposed to enhance the implementation of values education program and program needs as to program objectives, laboratory, monitoring, evaluation, curriculum instruction, teaching methodologies, strategies, approaches, faculty competence, physical facilities, leadership, and governance. Recommendations. The Schools Division Office of Cavite Province may consider sustaining or intensifying the implementation of values education program. References. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. We are here to present to you our research entitled Teen Moms' Voices Unveiling the Lived Experiences of Educational Resiliency Among Teenage Mothers. The global problem of adolescent pregnancy is common and has become a key public health concern for all. In the Philippines, teenage pregnancy is one of the social problems in the society. According to the 2017 National Demographic and Health Survey, 1 of every 10 women between the ages 15 and 19 was childbearing. In fact, the researchers have observed that when pandemic strikes, the number of teen moms remarkably increased in the district of Alfonso, Cavite. Here are our selected literature. Majority of the research on teenage pregnancy has focused on the negative consequences of teen mothering. On the other hand, other research have proved that it is possible for them to finish their studies. However, researches about educational resiliency are limited and mainly quantitative in nature, which most of the time neglect teenage mothers' lived experiences. Thus, the purpose of the studies are explore the lived experiences of educational resiliency among teenage mothers, identify the challenges encountered by teen moms by fostering resiliency in education, know how teenage mothers succeed in senior high school, and determine the impact we can get from the lived experiences of teenage mothers to support educational resiliency among other teen moms.
Qualitative research design was used in this study, particularly phenomenology. Purposive sampling was used to select female participants aged 18 to 19 years old. An informed consent was secured to treat the result with utmost confidentiality. And data were gathered through a validated questionnaire via Google form, and it were analyzed through content and thematic analysis. Here are our findings.
Team 1, struggle is real. Student mother, sleepless nights, setting priorities. Being a student mother is a challenging task. After giving birth, they had a hard time juggling the responsibilities at the same time. They needed to stay up late and had sleepless nights just to do their tasks simultaneously. They needed to consider different factors in prioritizing things like their time, finances, and other circumstances.
Team 2. Building educational resiliency through perseverance, self-motivation, child as inspiration, and a strong support system. Intrinsic motivation is their armor to finish senior high school despite the judgment and criticism they received. They treated their child as inspiration to prove and redeem themselves to give them a better future. Support from their partners, parents, and teachers were a great help. They received different forms of support like financial to moral.
Pellegrino 2015 revealed that by understanding the experiences of teenage mothers who have found success and how they make sense of their experiences that fostered resiliency, may be better able to support other young mothers. Thus, this research also found that their stories have a significant lesson that will inspire other teen moms in the same situation.
The result of this study can be used to construct a proposal programs, activities, or school policies on how the education system, schools, and teachers could help teenage mothers in completing their education.
The outcome of this study exposed the lived experiences of successful teenage mothers, their stories of numerous challenges and achievements. They voice out the experiences that molds them to be a better individual despite the circumstances that go with teenage pregnancy. Contributing to their success is their intrinsic motivation, their child as inspiration, and the strong support system of the people around them. Therefore, listening to their voices is important to understand their situation and know their needs.
It is suggested that the schools have a campaign against teenage pregnancy, a guidance counseling program that will help teenage mothers to deal with their situation, a training for teachers on how to effectively guide teen moms in balancing their responsibilities of being a student mother, and conduct a symposium discussing the teen moms' lived experiences. It is further recommended for future researchers to conduct related studies about teen moms who were not able to finish the senior high school. Here are our references.
This is Daisy B. Nuestro,
Yvonne and Sagun,
and that is our research entitled Teen Moms' Voices Unveiling the Lived Experiences of Educational Resiliency Among Teenage Mothers. Thank you for listening.
A blessed day to everyone. I'm Dr. Diana Giliveta, and together with me is Mr. Januel L. Valencia. And we are from Amadeo Elementary School, Division of Cavite Province. And today, we will be presenting our action research with the title Project Uplift. A project aims to uplift learners at risk prospectively. To start with, here are the context and rationale of our research. Our former and newly appointed leader of the department once quoted that pandemic caused fear to us, but education needs to continue in any forms, for it's our way to raise our economy and welfare. That is why education continue even there's a risk due to pandemic. Different modalities discovered to continue learning. Many are amazed from the constant change and upgrading of education system in terms of learning delivery modality in our country. However, not all can easily adopt these changes, and one of these is our learners and their family who is in the lower class of living. Many of them have their deep interest to continue to learn, but there's a fear of equal opportunity to learn well because of lackness of conducive learning space and facilitation at home. That is why, in connection of the division-initiated memorandum or known as the Division Memorandum 47 Series of 2021, through the partnership with Brigada Eskwela, the Project Uplifting Learners Prospectively arise. And to strengthen the idea on how Project Uplift continue, here are some key related literatures that serve as guide to the researchers in creating the program. To determine if the program is effective, the researchers develop an action research questions to test the efficacy of Project Uplift. The researchers develop paradigm of this methodology to assure the success of the program. First, to identify the focus group of the program. Second, to collect the third quarter performance assessment result of the focus group. Third, identify what needs to be uplifted based on the collected result. Fourth, presentation of the first drafted program for Project Uplift. Fifth, brainstorming, evaluation, and reconstruction of program when needed to assure the success. Sixth, provide resources. Seventh, implementation of the program. Eighth, manage and monitor to assure success of the Project Uplift. Ninth, collect the performance assessment result of the focus group after the implementation of the program. 10th, compare, analyze, and interpret the before and after assessment result. And 11th, suggest recommendation.
A pleasant day to each and everyone. I am honored to present our research entitled Coping Mechanisms of Alternative Learning System Completers Towards Learning in the New Normal. I am Marinisa R. Flores, and together with me are my co-authors, Ma'am Rachel B. Di Mailig and Ma'am Diana H. Oliver from Naik Integrated National High School, Cavite Province. When COVID-19 hits the country, everyone was affected and no one has been placed to exemption, even as in the education sector struggled too. Despite the situation brought by the pandemic, the previous academic year still pushed through, wherein Naik Integrated National High School adopted the online and modular distance learning. At the same time, alternative learning system completers were also allowed to enroll temporarily without the A&E readiness test, since it is not possible at the moment. Since there is no preparation and we have found out that ALS completers' concept of modular approach is different from what is currently happening, we came up with this research project and we look forward to its closing stages in the future. Through this research, we aim to answer the following questions. Number 1. What are the problems encountered by ALS completers in learning in the new normal? Number 2. What factors contribute to these encountered problems of ALS completers? Number 3. What strategies do ALS completers apply in dealing with their problems? And number 4. What kind of learning assistance could be provided to ALS completers? For the key literature, Shukla of 2020 said that COVID-19 has affected our society in different aspects such as social, physical, and mental, and its effect varies depending on the class society an individual belongs. According to Atilano et al. Of 2016, the major reason of ALS learners dropping out is due to the lack of interest and makes employment as an option. ALS learners' 21st century skills are low, which affects the way they learn and do well in higher level of learning. This research made use of the phenomenological approach, and a non-random purposive sampling technique was utilized in identifying the participants. The participants in the study were identified as the students who are considered ALS graduates or ALS completers. We used survey questionnaire which determines the problems that ALS completers do experience in learning in the new normal. Semi-structured interview that probes more issues of interest to interviewees, and document analysis which definitely provides a complete source of information. In analyzing our data, coding was utilized to examine the responses of participants to tabulate teams. And here's the findings of our research. For research question number 1, the problems encountered by ALS completers in learning in the new normal are the absence of teachers, financial problems, preoccupation with home and school responsibility, curriculum incongruity. And the themes were opportunity for learning, socioeconomic status of the marginalized, and focus and time management. For research finding number 2, the factors that contribute to these encountered problems are preoccupation with home and school responsibility, lack of knowledge, absence of teachers, new normal setup, and guidance from home facilitators. And the themes are socioeconomic status of the marginalized, opportunity for learning, and coping mechanisms in the new normal. For the research question number 3, here are the strategies that ALS completers apply in dealing with their problems. Time management, sharing of responsibilities and sense of responsibility, with the theme personal attribution, opportunity for learning, and focus and time management.
Good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Edelisa M. Katakutan, Public Schools District Supervisor of Indang.
And I'm Alma V. Lopez, a Public School District Supervisor of Indang.
We're going to present our study entitled Challenges in Implementation of VELCP from the Perspective of School-Based Personnel, Basis for a Strategic Plan.
This study on challenges encountered by the school personnel in the implementation of VELCP enabled the school leaders plan for strategic activities and prepared the appropriate intervention procedures in pursuit of continuous learning amidst the new normal delivery of education system, which was beneficial for the whole municipality of Indang and can also be utilized by other municipalities. For the key literature, the outbreak of COVID-19 not only forced us to think about the technologies for delivering education, it also compelled us to rethink the very nature of education itself. The government should create and implement concrete policies that will support a new breed of distance educators. Educators, in turn, need to innovate to ensure that education remains inclusive and accessible, and that distance learning is not limited to pure online learning. In the line of COVID-19, distance learning became a necessity for learners and education all over the world. For our methodology, respondents and sample, the subject population of the study is 27 school heads and 54 teachers in public elementary in the municipality of Indang using propulsive sampling technique. For the data analysis, the study employed descriptive comparative correlational research. Mean standard deviation and Likert scale were employed to determine the participants' assessment on the challenges in the implementation of VELCP in terms of 5 key dimensions.
For results and discussion, the category Safe Operations revealed an average mean of 2.75 for teachers and 2.89 for school principals, both of which are very evident. Educational funding revealed an average mean of 2.7 for teachers and 2.77 for school principals, both of which are very evident. Based on the result, it revealed that there is significant difference between the assessment of school heads and teachers in safe operations, while there is no significant difference between the assessment of school heads and teachers in well-being and protection. Finally, it revealed that there is significant difference between the assessment of school heads and teachers in reaching the marginalized, while there is significant difference between the assessment of school heads and teachers in education financing. So, for our conclusion, anchored on the preceding findings, the following conclusions were drawn. The BELCP seeks to safeguard the students, teachers, and the staff's health, safety, and well-being during COVID-19, while also figuring out how to keep teaching going despite the crisis. However, the BELCP has different difficulties in practice. For our recommendations, while the 5 dimensions are important in guaranteeing school reopening preparation, it is important to remember that policy considerations and financial requirements together form the enabling environment that allows the other dimensions to thrive. Furthermore, critical policies, procedures, and funding plans are required to improve education with an emphasis on safe operations and the enforcement of remote learning practices. Similarly, proactive reintegration strategies for underprivileged and out-of-school children should be properly developed and implemented. These are the preferences used in our study. That ends up our presentation. Thank you. God bless everyone.
A pleasant afternoon to everyone. I'm Ms. Evelyn B. Matrero, Master Teacher 2 from Cavite City Senior High School, Schools Division of Cavite Province, and I'm here to present to you my research study entitled Conducting Science Investigatory Project in the New Normal, Challenges and Opportunities of STEM Students in the District of Cavite City. Conducting SIPs provide an avenue for STEM students to undergo the research process utilizing the scientific method. As reiterated by Sanchez and Rosaroro in 2019, science research is a discipline that sets the groundwork for society's efficiency, production, and creativity. Before the pandemic era, the students were able to brainstorm their ideas as a group, physically, and they had identified and formulated research problems. The main goal of this study is to determine the experiences, challenges, and opportunities of STEM students in conducting science investigatory projects in the new normal. For the research questions, first, what are the STEM students' experiences in conducting science investigatory project in terms of A. Identifying the research problem, B. Formulating the research problem, C. Formulating hypothesis, D. Writing the review of literature, E. Constructing the research design, F. Collecting and gathering the data, G. Data analysis, presentation, and interpretation of results and findings, H. Formulating conclusions and recommendations, I. Accomplishing of isoforms, and J. Overall conduct of the investigatory project. Second, what problems do STEM students encounter in conducting science investigatory projects in the new normal? And lastly, what student support program can be proposed to help STEM students in conducting science investigatory projects? For the methodology, a qualitative design, specifically the phenomenological study, was used in the study. Purposive sampling was used, which involves the researcher selecting researcher informants based on their capacity to comprehend a given theme, concept, or phenomenon. The participants were students from Cavite City Senior High School STEM strand who have conducted science investigatory project under blended learning and participated in different SIP competitions, specifically during this pandemic season for school year 2021-2022. The researcher used a semi-structured interview protocol in order to gather the necessary knowledge. In the research, certain fundamental ethical issues was also addressed. For the data analysis procedure, first, wrote a thorough description of the participants' insights to eliminate redundant and overlapping statements. Also presented the result using textual description, organizing significant and common statements into groups or themes. Used structural descriptions to describe how the experiences occurred, and wrote a description of both the textual and structural descriptions of the phenomenon. For the findings of the study, to answer research question number 1, theme is the facet of science investigatory project making among students. In this phase of SIP making, students' experiences were best captured by an array of their discussions focusing on global and local issues. Such fact is eminent in this respondent's statement. Second, what problems do STEM students encounter in conducting SIP in the new normal? First, problems brought by the pandemic is the limited mobility and health safety protocols. Since the making of science investigatory project involves students are primary participants and rules of IATF as prescribed by the Philippine government do not allow minors to travel outside. This basically hinders the students to do physical tasks related to their projects such as consultation and gathering of tools and data they need to finish their works. Budget, money, allocation, and funding. So some students see this is an eminent struggle on their part, although some of them think about solicitations and sponsorship. But still, these were considered a problem since traveling is not easy at this time of pandemic. Communication. Some students found this element missing and lacking since some of them still prefer physical consultation and engagement specifically to their paper consultants and advisors. To answer research question number 3, what student support program can be proposed to help STEM students in conducting science investigatory project? There must also integration of the science investigatory project to other subject areas. There must also be a program that would capacitate to the home facilitators with regards to SIP matters. And the school could also provide merit system to students and students who will be able to successfully finish projects and those who can contribute to innovation. So based on the findings of the study, the following conclusions were formulated. First, the presence of pandemic brought by COVID-19 also put the students into different adversities. Second, it was pictured that in every step they gave in conducting science investigatory project demands varied skills and cognitive depth. Third, engaging with science investigatory project activities allowed some of them to open new opportunities and possibilities such as new partnership and new ways to earn merit for themselves.
Good day everyone. Here is the research of two elementary school from District of Magallanes entitled Project BTS Basa Portuanian Struggling Learners, a Localized Approach in Project Jasmine as an Intervention. Rationale. Teachers were doing their best to bridge the learning gap between students and teachers because we are still dealing with a COVID-19 pandemic. Schools have been closed and a face-to-face instruction has become necessary, despite the fact that it is a serious issue for teachers and school administrators. Problems arise during the onset of modular distant learning, like pupils have no available home facilitators, tutors at home, because parents are working and some are uneducated. As a result, most of the pupils from Tua Elementary School are still inadequate in literacy abilities in both languages and content areas, with reading being the most problematic. Thus, the TES teaching force believes that Project BTS, a weekly reading assessment, is one of the best interventions for determining pupils' reading levels and progress during limited face-to-face classes. It is also beneficial to the home facilitators who have aided the learners in the provision of reading materials in collaboration with parents. Key literature. Dumalaw of 2019 cited that even though the majority of pupils learn to read well, many young Filipino learners who have completed elementary school are still unable to read well enough to meet the demands of today's competitive technology-driven society. Furthermore, the updated PhilErie was utilized as an assessment tool. Liego of 2019 cited that it is an informal reading inventory made up of graded passages that assessed a student oral reading, silent reading, and listening comprehension skills. These three sorts of tests are used to determine a student's level of independent, instructional, and frustration. Specifically, the researchers focus only on pupils' oral reading. The information gathered from this test could be utilized to tailor classroom, small group, or personalized training to the needs and skills of the pupils. If it is strategy proves to be particularly effective, it should be used as a key means of addressing students' reading skills throughout the school year and beyond. Indeed, Career Guide of 2021 studied that reading skills covered a wide range of abilities that can be used to every aspect of life. Strong reading skills will enable you to analyze and find meaning in everything you read, and you may be improve your ability to communicate effectively through writing by continually improving these skills. The ability to read, grasp, interpret, and decode written languages and texts is referred to as reading skills. Excellent reading abilities can help you understand and respond to written communication such as emails, text messages, letters, and other written messages. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, basic education schools are still closed for face-to-face classes. Pupils are enduring learning loss. As a result of these school closures and the blended learning the Department of Education is doing is insufficient to meet our pupils' learning needs. Learning motivation has been steadily declining. Skill development has been barely supplied, and most unfortunately, our pupils' reading abilities are on the verge of deterioration according to Lastida of 2021.
For our methodology, the participants of the study were the identified pupils under possession level during the administered field area test. There are 20 identified possession levels in Tua Elementary School from grades 4 to 6. There were 7 flagging readers from grades 4, 8 from grade 5, and 5 from grade 6. These pupils underwent the intervention program. For our sampling, this study used a total population sampling. It was purposive sampling techniques that examined the entire population that had undertaken the field area test, from grade 4 to grade 6 learners. For our data collection, number 1, determine the reading level of possession readers. A standardized reading material was used, particularly field area, for accurate assessment of grade reading level of each client. Number 2, conducted Project BTS program, a daily reading assessment based on learners' preference and interest of materials for 6 months with the help of volunteers from LGU, alumni, and other stakeholders of Barangay Reading Center in school. Number 3, collected and analyzed the data based on the reading performance of the client during the whole program using the prescribed assessment template. Number 4, administered the post-test at the end of the reading program. Number 5, reviewed and analyzed results and program accomplishment. And last, number 6, monitored, evaluated, and validated the results of the program accomplishment by the school heads, project proponent, LGU representatives, and district supervisor using the approved evaluation tool.
Good day to each and everyone. My name is Mr. Julio Cesar T. Lailo, a teacher from Rosario National High School, together with my partner, Dr. Emily R. Quintos, our Education Program Supervisor in the Division of Cavite Province, and my beloved wife, Divina T. Delgado, a teacher from Bagbag National High School. And we are here to present our research entitled, Para Kanino Ka Bumabangon? The stories of dedication and commitment among teachers in the Division of Cavite Province amidst pandemic. Our former division superintendent, Cheralu T. Repia, once said that happy teachers produce happy learners. According to Agraini et al. 2021, self-efficacy, dedication, and commitment play a major role in how teachers select assignments and activities, shaping their efforts and perseverance when addressing certain challenges, and even in their emotional response to difficult situations. Agraini et al. 2021 added that COVID-19 pandemic created many challenges for educational institutions. Hence, it tests the self-efficacy, dedication, and commitment among the teachers. The main objective of the study was to determine the stories of dedication and commitment among Ariling Panlipunan teachers in the Division of Cavite Province amidst pandemic to better understand the problems and challenges as well as the opportunities they have encountered in the teaching and learning process. For the research questions, number 1, What are the problems and challenges encountered by the Araling Panlipunan teachers during this time of pandemic that challenge their dedication and commitment to teaching profession? Number 2, how do Araling Panlipunan teachers describe their reasons, actions, and extent of involvement in teaching amidst pandemic in developing dedication and commitment to teaching profession? And number 3, what could be the meanings and essences of experiences of Araling Panlipunan teachers in relation to their dedication and commitment to teaching profession amidst pandemic? For the methodology of the study, this study used case study research design by Yin 2014. The respondents were 8 Araling Panlipunan teachers in the division of Cavite Province and were selected using purposive sampling. These 8 teachers were outstanding teachers in their respective cluster. The instrument used was individual in-depth interview using interview guide adapted from Miami 2017. Data collected were treated and analyzed based from Yin's 2013 model of qualitative data analysis, including compiling database, disassembling the data, reassembling the data, interpreting the data, and conclusion. After the data were collected and analyzed using Yin's case study research design methodology, 3 emergent teams were formed. Team number 1, the problems and challenges encountered by Araling Panlipunan teachers during pandemic that challenge their dedication and commitment to teaching profession. It has 3 sub-teams, including absence of training or seminar and teaching during pandemic and administrative support, issues on internet connection and availability of gadgets, increase in workload, paperwork, and severity of learners' needs. For team number 2, the role, extent of involvement, and practices of Araling Panlipunan teachers in developing dedication and commitment to teaching profession. It has 4 sub-teams. 1, as mental health advocate. 2, as curriculum planner and modifier. 3, as collaborator. And 4, as professional development seeker and advocate of distance learning. For team number 3, opportunities and privileges encountered by Araling Panlipunan teachers during this time of pandemic. It has 2 sub-teams, growing as dedicated and committed educator, and realization and learning. For the conclusions, the study found out that the experiences of the teachers teaching during pandemic are mostly characterized by different problems and challenges. However, the experiences were not completely negative because there seems to be some sense of fulfillment gained by the teachers during the process of involvement in handling and teaching the learners amidst pandemic. Despite the very difficult situation they face and experience, there seems to be realization and learning and development of dedication and commitment to teaching profession. There's a saying that experience is the best teacher. Although you failed, at least you learn and realize something, and this is the result of the overall experiences of the 8 teachers throughout the implementation of distance learning in their respective schools.
Building a Whole You through Project Pro Life, an intervention towards improved coping mechanism of teachers in the new normal. Authors, Feunis D. Alcantara and Jennifer M. Rojo. COVID-19 was declared as a public health emergency and was later on characterized as pandemic by the WHO. According to McIntyre in 2020, all individuals were affected emotionally. One of the groups of individuals who were much distressed were the educators. Lesser coping strategies among them also worsened in the advent of COVID-19. In the study of Alcantara in 2021, it showed that teachers were having high levels of perceived stress during COVID-19 crisis, while only having moderate level of coping mechanism. Though teachers were having moderate levels of coping mechanism, there were still best practices that they used to cope up during this pandemic. Focusing on the ideas presented during the subsequent research, Project Pro Life was realized to aid teachers in achieving higher coping mechanism. The proponents of the study used the staff's best practices to cope up during this time. This study was conducted to find out how effective Project Pro-Life was and if there will still be enhancements that could possibly be done for the benefit of teachers. According to Torres, the issue of occupational stress among teachers does not only affect educators alone but also impacts the efficient management of the school system. This research aims to help HR practitioners in planning and intervention to address common problems. The participants of the study were 27 teachers who have experience joining all the activities under Project Pro-Life. This was a quantitative research in which the data were gathered, tallied, tabulated, analyzed using the mean standard deviation and mean difference. A t-test was used to determine the significant difference between the pre-test and post-test. Table 1 indicated that teachers had moderate level of coping mechanism before the intervention, having the mean of 2.24. Table 2 revealed that teachers were now having high levels of coping mechanism. This was after the intervention, earning 3.05 mean. The participants have significant higher scores in the intervention program. With a t-test value of 10.33, it indicated that the intervention program has an impact in the coping mechanism of teachers. This research may not only yield to an implementation of a project that would maximize teachers' coping mechanism today, but may also nurture future educators to keep the light of quality education burning. Creating a project proposal based on the needs of teachers helped a lot after this intervention. They gained a higher level of coping mechanism through the activities under Project Pro-Life. Future researchers may conduct further study on how coping mechanism could lessen teachers' perceived stress. Also, they may conduct similar researches in other population to validate the result of the present study.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Ang amin pong saliksik ay tungkol sa offline bantay basa sa panahon ng pandemya. Estratehiya sa pagpapaunlad ng kasanayan sa pagbasa ng mga mag-aaral sa baitang 3. Ako po, si Ginang Flory E. Fernandez, isang dalubguro, at kasama ko po ang aking mga kapwa mananaliksik na sina Ginang Cecilia C. Alvarez, taga-Masid Pagpurok, at Ginang Emeline S. Duilio, kapwa ko dalubguro mula sa Sangay ng Cavite. Sa panahon ng pandemya, isang mabigat na sitwasyon para sa mga mag-aaral ang pagkakaroon ng malalim na pagkatuto sa mga aralin sa lahat ng asignatura. Hindi ito magiging ganap kung salat sa kasanayan sa pagbasa ang isang mag-aaral. Kasama sa programa ng Adapt a School Program mula sa DepEd Memorandum No. 267 Series of 2021, ang Brigada Pagbasa na kung saan ay naroon ang pakikilahok ng mga stakeholders upang matulungan ang mga paaralan sa layuning mapabasa ang bawat mag-aaral sa gitna ng pandemya. Ang layunin ng pananaliksik na ito ay mapaunlad ang kasanayan sa pagbasa sa pamamagitan ng estratehiyang offline bantay basa sa panahon ng pandemya para sa mag-aaral mula sa 3 baitang sa paaralang elementarya ng Bagong Buhay, Distrito ng Silang, Sangay ng Cavite, taong panuroang 2021-2022 na siyang batayan sa pagbuo ng action plan sa pagbasa. Ang pag-aaral na ito ay sasagot sa mga sumusunod na katanungan. Ano ang antas ng kasanayan sa pagbasa bago at matapos ang implementasyon ng estratehiya? May kabuluhan bang pagkakaiba ang antas ng kasanayan bago at matapos ang implementasyon ng estratehiya? Mula sa resulta ng saliksik, anong action plan sa pagbasa ang maaaring mabuo? Ang mga babasahing ginamit ay joyride tayo sa pagbasa, marungko approach, at maikling seleksyon sa pagbasa. Ang pagpapatupad nito ay pinangunahan ng mga bantay sa paaralan o ng mga guro at bantay sa tahanan o magulang at home facilitator. Ang naliksik na ito ay gumamit ng one group pre-test post-test na disenyo at may 116 or 15.45% na bilang ng mga mag-aaral mula sa ikatlong baitang na nasa kabiguang antas ng pagbasa. Ipinapakita sa talahan na yan na sa unang pasulit, lahat ng mga mag-aaral ay nasa kabiguang antas at sa panghuling pasulit ay mapapansing tumaas ang antas ng kasanayan sa pagbasa ng mga mag-aaral. Sa talahan na yan ay makikitang may kabuluhang pagkakaiba ang antas ng kasanayan sa pagbasa bago at matapos ang implementasyon ng estratehiya at nasasaad na epektibo ang paglulunsad nito. Narito ang nabuong action plan sa pagbasa. Mahalaga ang resulta ng estratehiya sapagkat malaking bahagi ito sa pagpapaunlad ng kasanayan sa pagbasa ng mga mag-aaral na nasa kabiguang antas. Narito ang konklusyon. Nasa antas kabiguan ang mga mag-aaral bago ang paglulunsad ng estratehiya at matapos ito, karamihan sa mga mag-aaral ay nasa antas instruksyonal. Epektibo ang paglulunsad ng estratehiya sa pagpapaunlad ng kasanayan sa pagbasa ng mga mag-aaral. Narito ang mga rekomendasyon. Palakasin pa ang pagpapatupad ng estratehiya gamit ang mas malawak na scope sa paaralan. Maging aktibo sa pagsulong ng estratehiya katuwang ang stakeholders gamit ang binuong action plan. Magkaroon ng katulad na pag-aaral na may mas malalim na kaugnayan sa saliksik na ito. Narito ang mga sanggunian sa pagsasagawa ng saliksik. Maraming salamat po at pagpalain po tayo ng puong may kapal.
A pleasant day to all. I am Ma'am Genevieve Liu together with my co-proponents, Ma'am Melinda Labiano and Merlinda C. Legaspi. We are pleased to present to you our research study titled Teachers' Perception and Professional Development in the Time of COVID-19 Pandemic, Basis for School Plan for Professional Development. For the introduction of this study, the education system has adopted education in emergency during COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, it also requires significant modification in the teachers' professional development programs according to Labitad and Lumibao 2021. DepEd, through the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, or NEAP, has initiated and implemented various professional development programs and courses which are aligned with the Philippine professional standards for teachers. This study aimed to determine teachers' perceptions on professional development activities during the time of COVID-19 pandemic as basis on formulating the school plan for professional development in Binakayan National High School. Here are the specific questions. First, how do Binakayan National High School teachers perceive professional development activities? What kind of PD activities have Binakayan National High School teachers engaged in or received so far? How do Binakayan National High School teachers describe the most effective PD activity they have participated in during the time of COVID-19 pandemic? Fourth, what challenges do Binakayan National High School teachers experience in applying the knowledge and skills learned from various PD activities in the actual classroom teaching? And lastly, what human resource development programs, activities, and topics can be proposed as part of the school plan for professional development. For the methodology, we utilize the descriptive qualitative research design. And the purposeful sampling technique was used. A group of teachers who have direct experience and engagement in various professional development activities during the time of pandemic are the participants of the study. For the data collection procedure, a semi-structured interview with 5-item questions that underwent a validation. Focus group discussion was also done to further validate participants' responses. Data analysis. Information obtained from the interviews and focus group discussions was properly documented. The responses were analyzed in terms of patterns, themes, regularity, or other predictive occurrences that were revealed during the process of data gathering.
For the results and discussion, majority of the participants perceived the professional development activities as avenues for the enhancement of their instructional planning skills, instructional and ICT skills, knowledge on content or subject matter, and assessment strategies. The School-Based Learning Action Cell and in-service training, NAEP-initiated learning development programs and activities, private learning providers-initiated learning development programs and activities had recorded high participation rate. The challenges encountered by the participants in the application of the acquired knowledge and skills from their engagement in various PD activities include classroom management and development, towards learning activities, insufficient support mechanisms such as resources, work overload, and unconducive facility in the workplace. The proposed human resource development programs, activities, and topics mentioned by the participants are effective strategies on classroom management, critical thinking skills, research skills, and advanced ICT and communication skills, strengthening the focus group discussion, mentoring and coaching in school, in-service training, and participation in NAEP-organized trainings. For the recommendation, the conduct of the prescribed self-assessment of teachers should be religiously monitored in order to attain the accurate data for the needs, beliefs, and characteristics of teachers. It is necessary to consider the reduction of non-teaching related tasks of teachers to avoid overlapping of activities and work overload. Strong support and active involvement of stakeholders are contributing factors for the success of the process. The school needs other resources such as technological, financial, and facility improvement from LGUs, alumni, and from private entities. Thank you for listening.
Maganda tayong lahat. Challenges encountered by teachers of San Jose Community High School in using the printed modular distance learning modality by Dr. Gina Sibensibo. Educators nowadays have very different functions and roles compared with their task before the pandemic. Instead of directly monitoring the learning of the students, teachers need to set a feedback mechanism while seeing the connection of one lesson to the next to reinforce the coherence of the curriculum. In this new normal educational setup, timely and appropriate monitoring and feedback for consultation and intervention purposes are very essential for the teachers to perform through various touch points. Moreover, they need to strategize for learners' engagement as often as possible to monitor learners' difficulties and to see how they have been progressing in the lesson. Since these tasks are very new to the teachers, these will be tough on their part to perform, and it is inevitable that they will encounter difficulties along the way. In view of this, the researcher aims to help teachers handle the challenges by first determining the major challenges they are facing. Despite the threat of COVID-19 in our country, educators are doing their best to cope with the distance learning education. Because of their remarkable resilience and perseverance, findings of Toquera and Talidong 2020 revealed that teachers are already practicing virtual learning, are communicating with the professional community, holding on to quarantine guidelines, and finding inspiring activities to deal with these challenges. This study is a qualitative research that used the descriptive analysis research design. Applying the purposive sampling, it is a non-probability sampling characterized by the population and objective of the study. Hence, this study involved 9 teachers in every grade level of both junior and senior high schools in a focus group discussion. The researcher transcribed each of their answers in the questions posed them during FGD and performed critical thinking about the recurring main ideas to identify themes. The challenges teachers encountered in teaching under printed modular distance learning modality and the interventions they used to address those challenges. Students' late submission of outputs or did not pass outputs or student submission of incomplete outputs. Teachers' intervention was to give more time for the students to cope up and submit. For students' lack of comprehension of the lessons, teachers made concise performance tasks just for them to pass their activities. For the unavailability of modules, especially in senior high school specialized subjects, teachers search information to be able to make their own modules. In cases when students cannot get hard copies of modules, teachers send soft copy of modules to the students. There is also a challenge on difficult subject to teach even more, like mathematics. In this case, teachers create video presentation to be used in teaching. Home visitation appeared 5 times as the most frequent intervention teachers employed despite its risk to their health. This study provided the researcher with information on the teachers' problems on their utilization of such modality and the interventions they made to deal with those challenges. The offshoot of this study is to create intervention programs that may include organization of professional development activities to enhance teachers' understanding of and skills in the use of the printed modular distance learning modality. The major challenges faced by the teachers under the modular distance learning modality are students' late submission of outputs, students' lack of comprehension, students' incomplete outputs, students' cheating, and difficulty in contacting students. Home visitation is the top most utilized intervention, for it proved to be appropriate and effective in all cases. For the recommendations, limited practical examination and limited face-to-face sessions for struggling learners and in teaching TLE and TVL subjects. Another is the Parent Learning Action Cell to be able to provide technical assistance to parents in performing their new roles as home facilitators to their children. In so doing, it will somehow alleviate the aforementioned challenges encountered by teachers. Here are my references. Again, maganda tayong lahat. Thank you so much. Keep safe and God bless.
Good day everyone. I am Mrs. Almilet P. De Luna, together with my partner, Mrs. Heidi P. Mojica. We are the researchers from Indang National High School, Senior High School, Division of Cavite Province, and we are here to present to you our research study entitled Students' Learning Styles, Attitudes, and Challenges Encountered in Learning Pre-Calculus in the New Normal. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic brought a lot of changes in the educational system in the Philippines, especially in the conduct of the teaching and learning process. The Department of Education suspended the face-to-face classes and implemented the alternative delivery modalities of learning. Indang National High School, Senior High School, being a public school, implemented different learning modalities such as modular, online, and blended distance learning as part of the school's Learning Continuity Plan or the SBELCP. In the recent years, mathematics has been regarded by students as one of the most difficult subjects. In our senior high school, pre-calculus is one of the specialized subjects we offered to our STEM students. Previous studies showed that students experience difficulty in learning pre-calculus, which include 15 most essential learning competencies per quarter. For these reasons, there's a need to study the students' learning styles, attitude, and challenges encountered in learning pre-calculus in the new normal so that appropriate enhancement programs can be proposed. Our research study is guided by these research questions. Our research study is anchored with the following key literature. Research methodology. This study used descriptive research design.
Table 1 shows that most of the students under online distance learning and modular distance learning are reflective, sensing, visual, and sequential learners. Overall, most of the STEM students are reflective, sensing, visual, and sequential learners in pre-calculus during the first quarter of school year 2021-2022. Table 2 shows that the STEM students have moderate positive attitude towards learning pre-calculus in terms of self-confidence, enjoyment, and motivation. On the other hand, the students have high positive attitude in terms of the value of learning pre-calculus. Overall, the STEM students have moderate positive attitude in learning pre-calculus during the first quarter of school year 2021-2022. Most of the STEM students under online distance learning had trouble in learning new mathematical concepts and skills in pre-calculus since most of the topics are not discussed in the junior high school, while most of the students under modular distance learning had no knowledgeable individual who can assist their learning at home. Also, most of the students experienced difficulty in learning new mathematical concepts and skills in pre-calculus. Based on the obtained findings, the following programs will be proposed for the improvement of the teaching and learning of pre-calculus in Dang National High School Senior High School this school year. The data obtained about the students' learning styles, attitude, and challenges encountered in pre-calculus will serve as the basis for an enhancement program in teaching and learning of pre-calculus in the new normal. Results reveal that the STEM students are reflective, sensing, visual, and sequential learners in pre-calculus last first quarter of school year 2021-2022. According to Adnan et al. In 2013, this implied that students prefer to work alone, tend to memorize, learn more using pictures and videos, and work in a step-by-step procedure in learning pre-calculus. Also, they have moderate positive attitude in learning pre-calculus and encounter difficulty in learning new mathematical concepts and skills since most of the topics are not discussed in the junior high school. Programs that will enhance their attitude, knowledge, and skills in learning pre-calculus are also proposed. It is recommended that intervention programs that will address the learning styles, attitudes, and challenges encountered in learning pre-calculus during the first quarter of school year 2021-2022 be conducted to ensure that the students will achieve the most essential learning competencies of the subject. These are the references that we use in our study. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much.
Educators are one of the most indispensable members in the system. Thus, they should foster work ethics and to be a role model in terms of human values to his or her learners. It is my honor and privilege to present to you my research entitled Human Values Orientation and Work Ethics Assessment of Teaching and Non-Teaching Personnel of City National High School Boncho Annex during the new normal setup of school year 2021-2022. In the Philippines, research on human values and professional ethics of educator is rather scanty. As a member of the academe, the researcher carried out this study in order to supply the institution with data pieces of information on human values orientation and work ethics of teaching and non-teaching personnel and to enhance it in order to become effective employees of the school, which is particularly important in the light of the pandemic that is currently going on. In this particular study, a method of sampling that included the entire population was utilized. Shown here is the survey questionnaire used in the study. The first part is the Index of Human Values, the European Social Survey or ESS Human Value Scale. The last part of the questionnaire is the GDPAE or Work Ethic Dimension and Instrument Pool. The Index of Human Values, as determined by the respondents, is presented in Table 1. According to the findings, both teaching and non-teaching personnel have a high human values orientation as indicated by their mean score of 1.96. Respondents' Code of Professional Conduct is outlined in Table 2. According to the findings, both teaching and non-teaching personnel have a very high level of work ethics as indicated by a mean score of 1.36. According to Table 3, there has not been a significant correlation between the respondents' index of human values and their level of work ethics. The p-value for this correlation is 0.129. The following is the action plan that has been proposed for human values orientation and work ethics. The first step is to invite human resource specialists to conduct in-school trainings and workshops on good practices for enhancing and maintaining human values and work ethics among teaching and non-teaching personnel. The program for the development of personnel also includes ongoing monitoring, focusing on issues pertaining to work ethics and human values. The second part of the objective of the action plan is to develop a school evaluation policy that documents the well-established practice on teaching and non-teaching personnel's human values and work ethics. Both teaching and non-teaching personnel have a high human values orientation and have a very high level of work ethics. There has not been a significant correlation between the respondents' index of human values and their level of work ethics. From the findings of the study, there is a need to develop a teacher training program and evaluation policy to strengthen and sustain human values and work ethics. The findings of this study may be supported or refuted by conducting a comparative research study of the work ethics and human values held by teaching and non-teaching personnel in another school or district. It is also recommended that a longitudinal study may be carried out to investigate whether or not an increase in human values and work ethics would result in improved academic performance. Here are the list of references used in the study. The study presumes that understanding one's human values and work ethics is dynamic. Even though the principal concern of education is academic performance, there is simply too much convincing evidence that schools should not neglect the development of human values and work ethics. As Jeffrey Gitomer said, great people have great values and great ethics. That's the end of my presentation. Again, this is Hazel Ann F. Abarentos from SDO Cavite Province. God bless everyone.
Good day! I am Irene R. Sarmiento from SDO Cavite Province, and I am pleased to present the study entitled Application of DepEd Itulay Online Tutorial as an Intervention Strategy for Grade 9 TLE Cookery Learners. Education from a global perspective has been crippled for the past 2 years due to the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, forcing schools and institutes to close across the world, affecting almost 1.6 billion students worldwide. The Philippines has been affected during the pandemic, and the Department of Education has presented multiple responses to this, such as blended learning programs and distance learning modules. Bulihan Integrated National High School is one of the schools that is having difficulty providing the methods to properly teach grade 9 TLE cookery and requires more material and educational materials for students to access. Several studies have been made regarding this issue. However, the study does not consider the cookery subject, other grade levels, and other forms of material for blended learning. Hence, the researcher developed a study entitled The Application of DepEd Itulay Online Tutorials as an Intervention Strategy for Grade 9 TLE Cookery Learners to serve as both a supplement to the current modules and lessons being presented, as well as a form of assistance to learners having difficulty in understanding the topics involved, as well as to assess the DepEd Itulay Online Tutorial as a basis to improve the academic performance of Grade 9 TLE Cookery students in developing Learning Bridge course package in the new normal. The subjects of the study non-probability sampling was used in this study. Specifically, purposive sampling that was used for subject selection is based on the researcher's judgment and discretion. For the data collection, the researcher has done 5 phases of the collection of the appropriate data. For the ethical issues that may be encountered in the topic, the researcher give informed consent to the subjects and other involved individuals. Additionally, a proper explanation of the purpose and significance to the respondent, as well as assurance that all data will be treated with utmost confidentiality and anonymity. Weighted mean percentage distribution, and both descriptive analysis and discourse analysis was employed in the analysis of both quantitative and qualitative data that will be collected in the study. Multiple sources and literature were consulted, as well as their relevance to the study topic, serving as background information for the researcher. The following statistical tools were used in the gathered data in the study. The table shows that the grades of the experimental group had a higher weighted mean with a mean of 87.53, highest grade with a grade of 95, and lowest grade with a grade of 85 compared to the control group. The table indicates that the computed p-value of the control group and experimental groups was negative 2.7434. This indicates that the p-value was lower than the critical t-value of 2.003 at 0.05 level of significance. This means that there is a significant difference in the grades of the grade-9 students of school year 2020 to 2021 and school year 2021 to 2022 in terms of the overall grade during their respective school years. The following is the summary of the results discovered. The following are the conclusions formed from the results of the study. The following are the recommendations by the researcher to further improve the study. Here are the references the researchers have used. And that marks the end of my video presentation. Once again, I am Irene R. Sarmiento, building strong bridges for learners today to inspire them to construct their own tomorrow. Handang itulay ang pagkatuto ng mga mag-aaral sa ang dako man ng mundo.
Are you a math teacher who handles grade 7 students and had some issues regarding your students' interest and comprehension in class? If yes, stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome to the virtual research presentation conducted by the mathematics teachers of Talon National High School. All ears for Sir Iwan Abenes, Teacher 1, and Ma'am Loida Olivar, Teacher 2 from Talon National High School.
We are blessed to present to you our action research study entitled Synergizer, an intervention to enhance the mathematical skills of grade 7 students at Talon National High School. As cited by Civil in 2007, it is becoming increasingly challenging to teach mathematics nowadays since evidence showed that kids do not benefit from the conventional math curriculum and teaching techniques, according from Herbert in year 1999, and students' interest in learning math declines steadily. However, as cited from research by Tobias from 1998 published in 2006 by the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, aided using effective didactic strategies, including the use of music as an energizer during, before, or after the mathematics classes. In line with this study designed and implemented music integration activities as mathematical synergizers as an integrated part of grade 7 regular mathematics lessons, and as the result, it answered that questions whether there is a significant difference between participants' mean score before and after the implementation of Synergizer, and the Synergizer as an intervention enhances the mathematical skills of grade 7 students in solving problems involving measurements. The synergizer was used throughout the discussion, before, during, and after the discussion, and continued to be used during the second quarter from each math topic, and this study differs from other relevant studies in that regard. In this study, purposive sampling technique was utilized. Students at Talon National High School in grade 7 were the subject of the study for the 2019-2020 academic year. The units were examined to create examinations for research that took into account the subject matter expertise of the students, and research and the math specialists determined the validity of the test. To gather crucial information about the effects of the mathematical synergizers on students' mathematical skills, the researcher used a one-group pre-test post-test experimental design with controlled group. The use of paired sample t-test analysis from the mean of the pre-test and post-test was employed by the use of the SPSS 15.0 windows for evaluation in order to ascertain the significance difference between using music as a synergizer in the teaching and learning process in the subject of mathematics. And for more information regarding on the findings of this study, allow me to welcome my co-researcher, Ma'am Loida G. Olivar.
Thank you, Sir Eileen. The study's conclusion was that the test results for the provided data were normal. The data produced t-computed values of negative 19.878 and negative 1.998 at 0.05 level of significance with degree of freedom 63. The researcher rejected the null hypothesis because t-computed value is less than t-critical value. This indicates that there is a substantial change between the grade 7 participants' pre-test and post-test scores following the synergizer. It implies that using synergizer as intervention enhances the mathematical skills of grade 7 students in solving problems involving measurements. This study provides information about alternative trustworthy interventions that may be used to improve learners' mathematical skills, which is helpful to other researchers, educators, and learners in particular. For the research conclusion and recommendation, let's go back to Sir Ivy.
The main findings from this study are that using music to teach mathematics encourages students to connect and elevate their performances and enhances their mathematical skills. The researcher wants to suggest that, based on the findings, synergizer might be integrated with another method of teaching mathematics, such as the heuristic approach, which has the potential to have a significant positive impact on the student's ability to learn mathematics and retain it for a longer period of time. Hence, we do hope that with this research, the researchers help you to give an alternative way to enhance the students' math skills. Thank you for listening and happy researching!
Presenting to you this study titled Comparative Analysis of the Writing Skills of Selected ABM and STEM Senior High School Students, Basis for Intervention Material on Priority Competencies. The rationale includes its relevance to Depth Order Number 39, Series of 2012. That states that secondary schools have already put in place remediation programs to address deficiencies in learning, particularly in reading and writing. According to Sales, cited by Cabuyao in 2010, the Philippines used to pride itself on its citizens possessing proficiency in English, but now only 1 out of 3 Filipinos speaks and writes fluent English. This study that focuses on comparing and analyzing the writing competencies of selected senior high school students will be used to determine the writing difficulties by students so that a learning resource material to improve their writing skills will be crafted. Research questions. Number 1, what is the writing performance of the ABM students in terms of the writing mechanics as stated? Number 2, what is the writing performance of the STEM students in terms of the writing mechanics as stated? Number 3, what is the overall writing performance of the respondents? 4, is there a significant difference in the writing performance of the respondents when grouped according to their strengths? Lastly, what intervention materials could be proposed based on the results of the study? The literature review will be discussed to you by Ms. Marites Aguilar.
Writing is one of the four language macro skills that every individual is expected to learn. Ramos Jr. 2015. Within an organization, writing is a vital means of communication. Thompson and Shabria 2014. Writing therefore is a complex process that allows writers to explore thoughts and ideas and make these ideas visible and concrete. Hedge, as cited in Gamyao 2010, underscored that writing is a complex process. For the research design, descriptive method is used. For the sampling technique, it's purposive sampling. For the respondents, the participants were the top 5 students of their class. These students come from various large school categories in the division of Cavite Province, representing the North, East, South, and West clusters. Total of 40 STEM and 40 ABM students were the respondents. For the instrumentation used, these are the validated teacher-made writing rubrics. The essay tests of the students were retrieved, collected, and personally checked by the researchers using these validated teacher-made writing rubrics and treated with an appropriate statistical tool. For the findings of the study, my partner, Sir J. Aracal, will be presenting.
The findings of our study is as follows. So for table 1 is about the writing performance of STEM students. So table 1 shows that they are adept or very good in vocabulary, organization, and language use, while in content and mechanics, they are only categorized as good. The second table is about the writing performance of ABM students. So the mean description for the top 3 skills fall under the category of very good, while the bottom 2 skills are still at the level good. The third table is about the overall writing performance of the respondents. STEM students get a mean score of 3.44, while ABM students got a higher mean score, which is 3.51. STEM obtained a description of good, while ABM achieved a description of very good. The average of these scores is 3.48, showing a description of good. This shows that the writing skills of ABM students are in general better than STEM. Last table is about the significant difference in the writing performance when grouped according to their specialization. So the result shows that there is no significant difference in the writing performance of the respondents when grouped according to their strand. The conclusion, the study showed a result of 3.48 mean score, which yielded an overall description of good writing skills. Based on the study, the grade 12 learners still need intervention in terms of their writing. This only shows that there is a need for intervention to be conducted so that learning gaps in terms of the communicative skills of students in writing be addressed. It is therefore recommended that an intervention material be crafted to address the identified priority competencies. Finally, it is also recommended that study on specific aspects of grammar and mechanics need to be emphasized in the intervention materials to be crafted so that the needs of students in terms of this writing competency be fully addressed. And lastly, for the references, here are the references used in this study. Once again, thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. I'm Janet Isaborao. I will be presenting implementation of weekly Kumustahan, basis for overcoming the barriers of blended learning modality of grade 12 of Cavite Science Integrated School for the school year 2021-2022. My co-proponents are Elaine E. Malones and Joanna I. De Luna. For the rationale, in the new normal, there are different learning delivery systems presented to students. From my previous study, the top 5 barriers of the students are lack of social interaction, managing time, communicating with classmates and collaborating with peers, and lack of consistent internet connection. With this, the researchers propose a change of setting in the blended modality, which we call intervention, and we offer weekly kumustahan. For the key literature, several studies showed how students perform in their respective subjects. In my previous study, barriers that students face in the modality includes lack of social interaction, managing time, communicating with classmates, and collaborating with peers, respectively. As well as there are different studies from Lim, Loy, Can in 2021, and Ridley, Walty, Balsky, Jackson, Jones, and Rodriguez. For the methodology, the research design used are qualitative and quantitative. The target participants are grade 12 students of school year 2021-2022. The intervention used was weekly kumustahan, and for our data gathering, we use survey questionnaire and analysis of the achievement level and its comparison. The figure shows the barriers they face in the modality includes lack of social interaction, managing time, communicating with classmates, and collaborating with peers, respectively, as the first three biggest barriers. The above table shows the achievement level of the grade 12 students from school year 2020 to 2021 and school year 2021-2022, an increase of 4.93% in the achievement level of the students. This only showed that they overcome the barriers as cited in this study. Weekly online kumustahan really helped the students to achieve higher academic performance. For the implication, this can be used as a topic for last session and can be included in the Learning Continuity Plan or what we call LCP and a baseline for teachers as an intervention to increase their students' performance. For my conclusion, the results showed that the intervention activity, online kumustahan, really helps students overcome all the barriers as cited in the study. For our recommendation, the school as well as the district may adopt and include the intervention activity used in this research study, weekly online kumustahan. It may be also included in the school's LCP. These are some of the references used in this study. Thank you for listening and have a blessed day.